Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a weekly video podcast where we talk about all of the latest and greatest happenings in VGC. And today we have a very special episode. I know I say that every week, but this time we really do. Not because of the guests are boring, but because we have the start of Regulation I, and I am so excited about that. But first, I should introduce my two lovely guests. One of my co-host, Alex Underhill. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Finally excited to be moving on from Reg G. It's technically not over. If you really want to get more, I think the Battle Stadium ladder is still there for you. You could probably still play it on Showdown too, I guess. I don't know. I haven't checked in a couple of weeks if that's still legal, but anyways.
There's actually a local tonight in the DC area. And I can't imagine who is going to it, but certainly not me. But yeah, and then of course we've got our lovely guest this week, Regulation I connoisseur. We've got Michael Zhang. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be back after however long. I think I declined the invitation to come for the Vancouver preview because I wanted to come after Vancouver, but then I didn't do well at Vancouver. So
I'll save my shoutouts for later.
You are not the only person to have done that, and you are not the only person to have bombed after doing that.
It's okay.
But yeah, welcome. If you can only watch part of this, you can check us out on YouTube tomorrow morning. This will be up. And if you are watching on YouTube, you should come hang out on Twitch, ask some questions. It's always a good time. Today we've got the very end of Regulation G. There were a couple events this past weekend that we are going to talk about. Not so much because we want to talk about the teams, but because we want to talk about we want to cover them. And for their broader implications. And then finally, we also want to talk about Regulation I. And so with that, actually, Alex, I'm realizing in our topic doc, we didn't have the Philippino Nationals, if you want to grab that as well. Or I can dig that up. But yeah.
I did have a question.
What's up?
Do you know if any of the Asian nationals are still going to be played in Reg G?
I don't think they are.
Or have they all finished?
No, they've not all finished, but I don't think they're in Reg G anymore.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh man, it does look like the Philippines one was over this past weekend, but Victory Road's got nothing on it so far. I'm looking at the page.
There's a Victory Road. They had tweeted it at least. Yeah, there's a tweet.
Victory Road tweeted about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
one of my friends qualified through Philippine Nationals this year. So
based.
Yeah. So I guess we're talking about Philippine Nationals. We don't have teams, it sounds like, but is it top 8 invites, top 12 invites?
I think it's top 16 because my friend was top 16. It looks like, and he said he got an invite. So, probably it's top 16.
All right, I'm going to.
Oh, I see it here. I got a tweet for you to put on screen, Audi. Tub TV.
Sick.
I think Audi has maybe the same tweet.
I have found that one already. I am curious. Okay. I was trying to find the answer to your question. If we can, if there is a Regulation I or Regulation G, and at least for some of these other nationals, it doesn't say. Oh, it does say Regulation I. So it looks like the rest of the Asian nationals will be played in Regulation I. Thank God for that. I can't imagine having to get practice Regulation G at this point in the format. A lot of people did until this past weekend, but yeah, now we are through with Regulation G officially, and we do have the results for the Filipino Nationals. When I was looking at the other ones, I thought it said top 12 advanced. So I might be wrong about that. Someone can clarify, but I did think at the one that I think Malaysian Nationals, they'd have to do a play-in round for the people who lost in top 16 to see who would make it to the World Championships.
Oh, I see. Okay. So my friend was the number 14 seed here, Bryce. I met him at UCSD, and he qualified this past weekend. I lent him my Calyrex, so
nice.
Happy that it worked out for him.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, lending a Calyrex is also like a bit of a task because you have to unfuse it, fuse it. Like, oh gosh, dude, Calyrex is so annoying during this mon.
True. And AX13 in chat says that we had a power outage in Spain and Portugal, so we won't have info on the teams, at least for in VR. I did hear about that. I'm sorry. I hope everyone is safe. And yeah, obviously, no rush there. And honestly, I don't think anyone is too eager to look at the Filipino national teams, anyways. At this point, with the format over.
If it's regulation G, it's a tough sell, 100%.
Yeah, but congratulations.
You guys didn't watch Seville?
I did.
Yeah,
I actually did. I woke up and I turned it on Sunday, and I saw an Eternatus on my screen, and I was actually pretty excited. We will get to that. We will get to that. But yeah, so congrats to Christian for winning the entire event, beating your friend in top 16. And that's kind of the extent of Filipino Nationals, given that we don't have teams and it's in a kind of dead format. Definitely looking forward to the upcoming Nationals that I could not tell you if there's one this weekend. There might be. But looking forward to that. I definitely want to do more of a deep dive on their teams as well. As far as tournament signups go, the Grand Challenge has been announced. We were speculating on it last week, and we actually correctly called the weekend, which is May 9th to 11th, the one weekend without like a big major in either Europe or in North America this month. And so get ready for that. That is in 2 weeks. It'll be really interesting to see for a couple of reasons. The first is that this is the last Grand Challenge, so anyone who can get championship points will be trying to get championship points. This is the one where there is no regional this weekend, so everyone can play. And we're going back to the no Japan format, so it means that all of a sudden...
So not everyone can play. Don't disregard the previous statement. Like, what does this guy say?
They can play. They just
as compared to the last two where it was the weekend of Stockholm or the weekend of Atlanta. And so it was very difficult for a lot of the player base to play. This time, a lot of the championship point earning players can play pretty much. And also, you can see your standing, which of course changes the dynamic of this tournament entirely. And it's the second weekend of this brand new format. And so no one knows what's good. And I imagine a lot of people either have regionals this weekend or regionals the weekend of May 17th and are grinding for the regionals, playing best of 3 ladder. And so I have no idea what the best of 1 ladder looks like right now. So it's going to be a huge mess. It's going to be about as unpredictable as you can get for a Grand Challenge. So I'm actually very excited for this. But yeah, save the date. Don't forget to sign up for it and maybe cook something up if you're not going to Milwaukee.
I think it's a good opportunity to get some good best of 1 cheese in. I think a lot of people are probably going to just look at results in Milwaukee and just phone in a team from there, or if their regional is after Milwaukee, or sorry, if the regional is like the European regional, I don't know which one it is, Bologna maybe, then they'll probably just bring their team that they're bringing, or like the team they brought to Milwaukee or whatever it is. So like, I think a lot of people are probably going to just phone it in and bring a best of 3 team and not come prepared. So if you have some spicy cheese, this might be the time to pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, like, I'm not a huge fan of playing with the like restricted Pokemon generally. But like with the timing of it being right after Milwaukee, I don't think I'll spend as much time cooking for this one as I could be. But a double restricted best of 1 tournament sounds hilarious. There's got to be some good ways to cook up like the most heinous strategies you could possibly imagine. So
there's definitely some major heinous, like, I don't know, whatever the like
imprison all over the place. Literally, like, you should be running imprison on your flutter just to imprison other imprisons. Like, I just don't get caught out by anything else. Just imprison for the sake of imprison. Like, I don't know, dude. They're gonna be trying to prank you with something.
Imprison, Astral Barrage, Trick Room, Calyrex Shadow. It's time.
Is this the same weekend as the next phase of Japan's Nationals qualification? That's what Jimmy's saying in chat.
Oh.
I don't know if we probably do know. I have not looked, actually. I gotta double check.
Here we go. It is the same weekend. Yeah.
It is.
So
there will definitely not be Japanese players.
So there won't be Japanese players. They're going to be a little busy. But also, oh man, this is going to shake up the meta. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what Japan cooks up for this format. Yeah. this always changes things up. Japan Nationals, the main event where they also get to play some best of 3, is obviously the bigger deal, and that's not until June 22nd, which is after NAIC. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for the closed team sheet tournament as well. I'm sure I feel like these tournaments always shake things up, and they always find things that we don't think of and change the metagame. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for this in a couple weeks, and of course we will go over it once we get teams for whoever releases it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
We got time. We got time for that before that one, but not a ton of time.
It's it's going so quickly because and I think we're all doing Milwaukee and Portland, right? So the going from Alex and I, we did Atlanta, and then 2 weeks turnaround to this, and then 1 week turnaround to the GC, where you kind of want to cook something new up. Turn around to 2 more weeks until Portland, and then another couple of weeks, and then NAIC. It's a crazy grind. It's gonna be a whirlwind of a month for sure.
It's gonna be big, especially for like if you're attending all 3 of these majors plus the GC, and you're like kind of on the cusp of an invite like I am.
Like all of us are.
I think you guys have a little bit more points than me, so I think you guys are in a bit safer position, I guess. But I'm not sure about you, Audie, but I know Alex is in a bit safer position than me. So it'll definitely be a show up and okay, yeah.
I'm at 86. Oh, look at that! That's Patrick Cheng, who got 300 points this weekend.
Oh man, that's actually the next topic, isn't it?
It is. Wait, Michael, where are you?
Segue.
Where are you?
I'm at 600 points.
You're really behind.
Under 600.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not in a bad spot, but I'm not. I will have to show up in these next 3 tournaments.
That literally doesn't know how many points he has. He's not showing up.
I mean,
it's like 5. I think I'm at 500 something, but like there's some unreported.
Dude, he's rounding up. Oh my god, this guy's actually not gonna be able to make it.
There it is.
He's
582.
It's over for him.
582, but it's missing a 15 because I have a PC win that hasn't been reported yet. So
sure.
I'm looking at the list of players who are down here, and oh my god, there are so many good players who are just like banking on the end of the season who are gonna make a last minute run for top 75.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some good players that miss Worlds this year, and that's just a matter of fact. Like,
yeah, I mean,
there's just not that many slots, and there's more good players than there are slots to fill.
Justin Knox is down there. I saw Nails. I say Luca Paz. Kian had just a fantastic tournament a couple weeks ago in Atlanta. Yeah, we saw. Yeah, there's a lot of good players who are just on the outside. I see Z right there. Oh man, Cedric is out there. Jody's making a last minute push. Gavin's making a last minute push. Alberto's not even in World's range. Oh my goodness. Oh god, this is gonna be a bloodbath. All right. Well, I hope y'all are excited for the end of the season. It's gonna be a crazy month. It really is gonna be a crazy month. I'm very excited to see how it plays out. And legitimately, like, we're gonna talk about this. We're going to talk about something else in a second. We're going to talk about the South African special event in a second and how it messes up the World's race. But I will say it is very refreshing to come into this point of the season and still feel like you have everything on the line. Normally it's like, I'm playing to do well at these tournaments, but I've got my Worlds invite and I can do poorly and it's not a big deal. This is the first time since I've started playing, since literally I think my first attempt at Worlds in my first season, where I was like going down to NAIC thinking, wow, like this is the most important tournament of the year, which it should be. That's very exciting to me.
I agree.
Some serious stakes. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly. With that, let's talk about the highest stakes tournament of the entire year, maybe. We had the Johannesburg special event in South Africa, one of 2 special events in South Africa. These do award championship points and award a Worlds invite. And congratulations to Jivan Reddy for winning the entire tournament. That's right. There were 9 players. There were 9 masters at this event. where to even start with this? So there were 9 masters at this tournament, and it awarded top 4 championship points because the kicker is 8 people. It looks like the second tweet is gone, which is very sad because it was very funny. Apparently, they were hosting Top Cut of the TCG event in just like some dude's house. Ooh, we got this picture. Top Cut of this event is just in some dude's house. They just didn't. I don't know. They weren't ready for. I don't even know. What do I say about this?
We do have teams, by the way, Adi. Check Tub TV. I linked them there.
All right. Let's grab them. Yeah, shout out to Victor Road for getting it. So this tournament was we got to talk about this though. This tournament was played using mixed age divisions. A senior player was also 3-1. And so as a result, they did a top 4 cut because Tom messed up and was like, oh,
top 3.
So it was, yeah. So Tom, my understanding is Tom made it so it was a top 4 cut. And then it became, but the senior obviously isn't playing in cut because they've already won their tournament. And so then they became top 3.
Right.
But the existence of the senior, I think, messed everything up. Because there's no way that a 2-2 should be in asymmetrical top cut in any capacity.
Right.
And the 2-2 ended up winning the tournament. Which, congratulations to G-Ven. We can pull up their team, but I am very happy. I am generally very happy that a South African player won South African Nationals. I hope they get an opportunity to actually go to the World Championships. I know it's very far from Los Angeles is very far from South Africa, but this is a very cool opportunity, and only I think 2 players maximum from South Africa realistically. Actually, it might be a little more than that because they also have a couple of Worlds invites for them. But right. So I hope that we get to see some of the better South African players attend the World Championships, which is very cool.
Yeah, and honestly, this team is pretty crazy too. It's got the Hurricane Thunder. Hell yeah. The Zapdos, dude. What last time you saw a Zapdos? Back in like Dynamax days, I feel.
Yeah, definitely Dynamax days.
It was asymmetrical top 2 cut, which theoretically means X1 cut. Oh, but because there was a 3-1 senior, it accidentally put the 3rd place Masters in instead? Is that how it works? I don't know. I think Tom is just not programmed to have an 8-person special event, and so it just like messed up. I don't know. But yeah,
Whatever,
they don't have a TA. They just have the World's invite.
No travel award.
So they will have to finance their own trip. But I mean, it's just such a cool opportunity that I hope that they have the chance to do it. But yeah, I also do want to call out the 2 non-South African players at this event. There were 2. Alessio Ferrara from Italy and Patrick Cheng from Canada or Hong Kong, but currently lives in Canada, competes in Canada. Who, man, if you're gonna travel all the way to South Africa to attend a 9-person local with your World's invite on the line, you better fucking win the tournament, man.
I mean, yeah.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What do you? This is should if you the 2. I'm calling you guys out. You guys should be embarrassed. I understand why you went, but if you go to a 9-person local and you don't win the 9-person local, you don't deserve a World's invite. You certainly shouldn't be rewarded for it. You should be disqualified for a World's invite. And if you win, you can have. But if you don't win your 9-person local, you should. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. It's just such a it's such a ridiculous situation, and I mean, so people are mentioning, for those who don't know, who haven't been around forever, mentioning Billa. Billa went to 2016 South African Nationals. I'm going to see if I could find that. 2016 South African Nationals. You know that I've had this pulled up before. I think I've referenced this in the video before. But yeah, so 2016 South African Nationals. It was like top 8 or top 12 travel award, and Billa traveled all the way out there. He actually didn't win. He got 2nd place, but that was enough to get an automatic trip to the Worlds. And I think day 2 Worlds qualifiers. I don't remember exactly how it worked back then, but at the very least, he got a travel award to the World Championships. And then after that, they stopped doing national championships altogether. They stopped putting them on a level playing field. They started doing international championships, and they changed the way the circuit worked for South Africa to make it so that they had their like own separate events, and they only had one Worlds invite. I think South Africa and Russia had their own separate like circuit structures, and then for some reason this year they went back on that, and now they have been taught the lesson 10 years later. Everyone must have left, and then we got a new group of people coming in working to play Pokemon. We're like, why does South Africa have a weird system? Let's just incorporate it in. We can set a top 2 bar. It'll be fine. And now we see why this isn't okay. Like, I really don't think that players should be getting 300 championship points, 325 championship points for going to 8-person local, 9-person local, halfway around the world, and be put on a level playing field with everyone else in their region who has to compete at like real tournaments. I think it's very stupid.
Right.
It's pretty weak. It's pretty weak to see but also it is just the system. It's like it's sad,
No,
but
right.
it's just this is.
I don't blame
the points. Clearly not balanced, but
I don't blame the people, but also I would say that like for this kind of thing, they should take a look at this kind of thing, and like the points should scale with the size of the tournament as well. Like basically for regional level events, like a way that you could fix this is that basically for regional level events you can have the upper end point scale with the number of entrants, and then with like a minimum bar of like let's say 256 or 512 or something. So like we have kickers for like low end CP gains basically, but if you make the high end also scale off that, then like you can like solve some of these issues potentially. There's other ways to do it. Maybe like that might be a little bit more unfair to like players in smaller regions that would get smaller special events if they were to travel to other like out of country events maybe. But like there might be like some way to do it. But like yeah, this is just we shouldn't have a system that incentivizes people to do this kind of thing, right? That's like the bottom line.
I think I figured out the perfect system. There's no holes in it. You should get the amount of championship points for the number of players below you on the placement thing, on the standings. And so, like, I think finals should be played for just one CP, just one championship point.
Well, you get the automatic invite, so
the automatic invite and the more money, of course, but just one championship point. You should get exactly however many championship points for people below you. I see no flaws with the system. I will not be taking criticisms.
That's okay. I just have a different system altogether, and it can actually work with your system, Alex. Yeah. It'll work just fine. Okay. I think that points should be stuck in your region. If you can go to LATAM like LATAM's the other place that a lot of North American players go to, right? And it's not not 9-person. Like those tournaments are competitive. They have 100 to 200 people in them, but it's not the same level of competition that an 800-person North American regional is. Like that is still a different like tier of competition. And what Michael and Alex have both suggested will help solve that issue by awarding more championship points to players who do well at bigger tournaments. But I think that the better solution that doesn't really punish players for going to the 400-person Portland regional instead of the 800-person Milwaukee regional, that kind of sucks. That's a lot of points that you're missing out on. If you're going by Alex's system, at least. Sorry, that was some criticism.
Yeah, you're right.
I think Alex should have gotten fewer championship points when he won Portland regionals. Actually,
100%.
Yeah.
Wolf didn't attend, so it wasn't actually a real event. Anyways, my point being, what I think should happen is your points should be siloed into your region. So if you want to travel to LATAM to go to a regional, say like Carson went to Monterrey, you get second place. Congratulations. Take your $4,000. That's awesome. That's a good reason to go. If you think these tournaments are easy, you should. But you should not be earning championship points in North America. You should be earning championship points in Latin America for that. And if you want to go to 3 Latin American special events and finish top 50 in Latin America and get your Worlds invite there, that's just fine. You can do that. But none of those points should count towards North America. And if a LATAM player comes to North America for North American events, those points should also be siloed into North America. Maybe with the exception of Internats, but honestly, I think Internet should also kind of be siloed off to your region. That one's a little more debatable, but I think that's a nice way of doing it, where you are encouraging people to travel to these regionals out of region if you feel like they're going to win money, if you feel like you're going to be in the very, very top echelon. But for mid bros to travel across the world to try to get a Worlds invite in South Africa, that kind of gets eliminated altogether.
I agree with one
With
caveat.
Go ahead.
The only caveat being that instead of it being siloed off into the particular region, I think you should just lose the points if you're not competing in the region that you like the region that you like live in or whatever, like that you declare. Because
So you're saying they should skip you on the placements, like the points passed down to the next person, is what you're saying? Or
no. Like they just go to the void. Like
they just get voided. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Like
yeah. So you're saying that you can only have one region? Like you're saying that like
yeah. So like because I wouldn't want to encourage people to then like fly to South African regionals or like go to LATAM is like less severe of an example because there's more competitive scene there, but like there's less players in South Africa. So like if you were to just like go grief their special event and then take the invites away from the local players there, like that shouldn't be something that could happen. So like just like if you declare that you're an NA player, then you can only earn points in NA, with the exception of internats, in my opinion.
I disagree.
So
if you want to fly to South Africa, if you want to fly to South Africa and to go to both special events and top cut both special events, that's fine. Steal a Worlds invite from South Africa. I don't care. They should just play better. You're basically a local if you do that, right? Like.
So I want to respond to something in chat because it also kind of is what I wanted to expand on. They said, "Hey, that defeats the purpose of internationals being internationals, hence the name." And I don't know. I honestly didn't mind internationals too much. Nationals back in the day before they became internationals, being mostly focused on the talent in the region. You could always go to the other ones if you wanted to. Internationals, like they still will have international talent, like the like as long as the travel award system doesn't disappear, like that is like a big reason to. Like Pokemon wants them to look like international events by flying out the strongest players at the time to that tournament, so that they can put them on stream, have those head to head between different regions. That part's still really cool, and that's not going to disappear, even if like any of these systems did come into place. This is all just hypothetical, of course. We're not the people that actually have the power to make this happen. Regardless, though, while we're just yapping, I do think it is a little bit annoying, like. Thinking about how we're all here fighting for our invite to the World Championships with in the NA region, and we're going up against people who went to all three or will go to all three internats. And it's like that with the fact that they are no longer like they're like lumped in with regionals. I think we didn't have a cap in previous years, did we? Did we have like
Nope.
It was just like
no
the full thing. The fact that
was
there's
less of an
no
issue
cap on them.
because there was a bar.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Because there was a bar. Like, internats probably should just be capped at one internats. I know that again probably motivates people less to travel to the other events, but like you can still make it so that they earn those points towards a travel award. You can still make it so that they can earn of course, the prize money and whatnot are still good reasons, and the travel award is another good reason. So I feel like we probably don't need you to be able to earn points at all the internats. It's a little bit much. Go ahead.
I'm less of the opinion for that because like with the current point structure, actually, in my opinion, like your average placement at a internats compared to a regional is like about the same, in my opinion now. Like in terms of like the points earned, because like your equivalent of a top 32 finish at or a top 8 at a regional is like about a top 32 at an internats. I think something like that. I would need to double check, but it's like essentially something like that where like the points like do transfer over like in terms of difficulty, because like we all understand that like internats are going to be a significant amount harder than regionals. So like the way that they changed it, like I would agree with you for sure if they had this old point structure that they had announced but didn't end up going through with, where there's a lot of people who complained about the
700 or something.
Yeah. But now with internats being nerfed like to a reasonable degree, they give about 1.5 as much points as a regional does, and I think it's reasonable. Basically, it's about equivalent of an accomplishment in terms of like top 32 at like a top 32 or top 64 at a internats compared to like a top 16 or whatever at a regional, or top 8 at a regional, or whatever it is. So like from that sense, I feel like it's fair. because I don't feel like people are getting an advantage by traveling to more internationals, because like if you converted at a top 8 or top 16 at a internet, then it would be like the same as if you had converted at a regional, in my opinion.
Maybe. I don't know. I think going 8-3 at a 900 person regional is more impressive than going 5-3 at an internet personally. But I get what you're saying. It's like not. It's reasonably comparable. I do still think
5-3 you are not going to get the same number of points. Like
you get 100 for top 56.
And
I got top 64 going 8-3. Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I think some 5-3s wouldn't have gotten top 56. They might have gotten to top 512 or whatever. And so it doesn't quite. Right. It's not perfect, but no, I think that getting the top level results is probably equally competitive at internets. I think that getting the mid level results that are like deciding that the bottom half of the world's invites is a lot easier at internets. I think it's not that hard to go 5-3 or 4-4 and earn championship points. Whereas that's the equivalent of making day 2 at a regional. And so it's like a very safe way to get your point total up.
Sure, but the counterpoint is that you'll need to like you're not going to be able to get a Worlds invite off of only mid results. Basically, like you would still need just like at least one tournament.
Don't test me. I will do it.
Well, if you get top 30, like in my opinion, like getting like in your case, if you're getting top 32 in multiple GCs, that's not you already have crossed the barrier of like
that's fair
finishes or whatever. So like you can't get it with only like mediocre, like true mediocre finishes. Like you need to at least spike some tournament to be able, like you can't just like 4-4 or 5-3 or like whatever at all tournaments and then get a Worlds invite this year. Like it's just not possible, right? So like if you pair a bunch of those with like a top 8 and 1 regional, then like, I mean, sure, like whatever. I think that's a fine enough resume to be able to make Worlds. Like if you fill your BFL with mediocre results but had one really good tournament, then like I think that's fair.
Right, like when you go 3-2 at South African special events, right? That's the one tournament.
That one is yeah. That one I'm not gonna fight you on.
Yeah. Damn. I didn't know that they had the Twitters. I would have reached out and see if we got a South African player on for first uptakes. It would have been fun. Anyways, that's my rant. I really think that this shouldn't happen. If they don't change this, I will be flying to South Africa next year. I will make it happen. I will go 5-3 at every tournament. I will get my 300 championship points from a South African special event, and I will get my Worlds invite that way. Because this shit is so stressful and doesn't need to be stressful if this is available. I will spend the money to not have to worry about the stress.
Let's go.
I do think like we need examples like this to prove that the system is flawed, right? Like sometimes people like we can say it that this and this, like there's issues in the system, but like having proof that this doesn't work for a variety of reasons or whatever, like will force them to make the change. So
Pokemon Ranger Emerald says you aren't going next month, and to that I say sadly I have to play in the 500 person Portland regional. So nothing compared to the.
It's not too late, Audie. Let's actually just give up on Portland, man. Let's just.
Don't play your title defense game. Let's.
Nah.
So true.
I still won a tournament on the same weekend as Portland, so therefore
title defended.
Come on, saying you're the South African national champs is way cooler than saying you're a Portland regional champion.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
All right.
If you tell that to somebody who doesn't know anything about VGC, they would probably think it's a bigger accomplishment. They'd be like, dude, you just won the one in like the city next door versus you won one across the continent, like or across the world, like.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh yeah. One last thing. Shout outs to Wee and Wessel for using the best team in the format and using Tinkerton to get top 4 at South African Nationals or the South African special event.
300 points in the book.
300 points. That means that our team, that the team that Carson and I built, is I think the highest championship point earner of the last month. maybe. I guess the team that got first and second at Atlanta might have us beat, but maybe not. Because we got top 4, second, and top 64, so that might eke it out. Anyways, let's talk about the other regulation G event that happened. And look at all these idiots. They could have gotten 300 points by going 2-2, and instead they all went all the way to Seville, got 0 money. It's a special event. They didn't get paid. And they had to work their ass off just to get a minuscule number of points. Congrats to Iker for winning with Zamazenta. Yeah, the last event of Regulation G, the last major. Did you guys get a chance to watch any of this tournament?
Nope. I went back and watched like a little bit. I do think the final team, the winning team from Iker here, like having only 6 physical Pokemon is really funny. Like there's just not even like a special attack to be seen. That's just so goofy.
Man. I mean, there's a few ways that it cheats Intimidate, right? Like you would say like the issue with physical mods is that you're weak to Intimidate, but you have Inner Focus, you have Searching Strikes, you have Body Press, which all cheat it, and then you also have Ivy Cudgel, which can ignore Rocky Helmet and Icicle Crash. So like there's like ways around like the common tools that you would use to answer like physical mons. It is still interesting that it is.
Yeah, I mean, people. That said, it's not like something people are doing often. That's
right. There is like the last time that we saw something similar was like Riley during his like Reg E run or whatever. Was used like his team during that era was like basically 6 physical. It was 5 plus Amoonguss, which like it was basically 6 physical. Which is a similar team. I think it was just Amoonguss and King Gambit over Zama and Rilla.
This was Zama's only entry.
Similar idea.
Shit, you froze for a second. But yeah, this was Zama's only entry in top 32. Oh my god, everyone's freezing. I guess stream is seeing what I'm seeing. Hello? Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
We might be lagging too, Audie. Who knows?
Yeah. But...
Hold up. Is that gonna make it better?
Dude, is he the stream? Well,
hello.
Well, we can hear you, but I don't know if that.
I can hear you now.
Okay. That was what happened when I stopped sharing my screen. So I'm gonna try sharing my screen again. And then we'll see if it lags out again. But yeah, it looks okay now. Okay. Anyways, what I was saying, because I don't know what you guys were saying. Actually, I'll let you. We heard ESM's bit about the Riley team, and then it kind of got cut off. So I'll let you guys finish your thought. Then I'll say my thing.
You know what? Let's just keep it moving.
Yeah.
Because I think we'll get lost if we try to pick up where we were, and honestly, it's probably not going to be the most profound thing you've ever heard. So let's just. No offense.
Yeah. Okay.
The second place team.
Wait, I got one more thing. I got one more thing about this team before we move on. First off, this was the only Zamazenta in top 32, which is pretty crazy. Zama had really fallen off going into this tournament, and so it is cool to see it back, even if they're the only person that put it back. And I'm looking at their top cut run. I know it's an EU event. No shit, they're going to face a bunch of CSR. Traditionally, Zama, I think, has a pretty difficult matchup into CSR, but they kind of farmed it. They beat 4 of them in 5 rounds of top cut, and none of the like instant CSR, so it's maybe a little better for that respect. But yeah, it's really impressive to see them take on their worst match, or what I normally think of as the worst matchup, with some tech choices and beat it 4 times in top cut.
So my opinion on it is that for Zamba, you like the issue is that Miraidon, CSR, and Koraidon, those 3 matchups, you can't beat all 3 of them. So you basically can pick your poison on it, and then you can beat like normally 2 out of 3, depending on how much you tech for each individual one. They're like all baseline losing, but if you tech for them, then they become winning. And Pound Night is like one of the things that gives CSR some issues. So I'm not super surprised that it was able to have a positive matchup into CSR, but still very, very impressive win.
All right, Alex, you were talking about the second place team. This is a player who has been used this team at the World Championships. I think got top 32. I want to say the World Championships with it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just thought it was kind of funny because I think that they got second in the VR April challenge as well, the second one, with basically the exact same team with Zamazenta over Urshifu. So they know what they like. They know what kind of stuff that they're trying to do. They're a Giga Drain, Grass, Terra, Shadow Rider main, and they're going to be very happy to be doing that with a second restricted in Regulation I. Yeah, they're just sticking to it. We've seen this archetype a couple of times, and it's definitely a bit annoying because it involves Smeargle. All the Smeargle teams can definitely be a little bit annoying, right?
I hate Smeargle.
This team was really fun to watch play from the games that I watched. But I've heard Carson, when we were talking about it, describe it as like the 50-50 team because so many games just come down to 50-50 reads. And that does make for a very, like, it's a very read heavy team, and that makes for a very fun viewer experience when you were watching it. But that must have been, I don't know, not the type of team that I would like to use.
I think a lot of those teams, you think that they're 50-50s, but like when players tend to have like tendencies on how they react to it. So it's like oftentimes it'll be closer to like a 70-30 or like a 80-20. And the player that has the more experience on the team will be able to like exploit the like common tendencies of people who think that it's a 50-50 to be able to like gain an edge. Like that's how like my experience with this kind of team.
Anyways, this team, not so exciting. We've seen it before, but the third place team, this is the one team. This is really the only reason why we're talking about this tournament in the first place. There was an Eternatus, a Power Herb Eternatus that made it all the way to top 4 of this tournament. I was telling them I wasn't watching this. I wasn't planning on watching this tournament. I woke up on Sunday. I checked my phone. What do you know? Eternatus in top 4 on the stream match. I did have to watch that. one.
No, that part's pretty fun.
It's the game squad, Roaring Moon, Volcarena, and then the best restricted.
The best restricted,
yeah. Those 5 guys.
Yeah, and I don't even know what to really say about it.
It's amazing to see that it did so well here at the end. I don't know if it's a sign that like they had finally figured out exactly the build that this restricted needed. If people just didn't care to have any idea of how to deal with this Pokemon and like their game plans, of course, like nobody goes to a tournament planning on what they have to do against Eternatus, so that's probably a big part of why it was preying on people.
You definitely lose to it on ladder and then just like complain that you're not going to see it in tournament or whatever.
Yes, 100%.
And I was really trying to make it work for one of the GCs, and I couldn't. And I thought it did have some potential. It actually had some very good matchups. It just also had some really bad matchups. And they managed to. So like some of the bad matchups, I normally thought Ice Rider was a bad matchup, but they have Terra Water on it and they have Volcarona on it, so they have some tools to beat that as well. I think Calyrex Shadow is a bad matchup, and they did lose to it in finals, but they beat the one in top 4. And they beat they did lose to another Shadow Rider, but they beat a couple other Shadow Riders along the way. They lost to Eric Rios, which is tough, but I can see how Screamtail would be annoying. Yeah, just a really impressive run.
Yeah, Combine Lunala also does look annoying to like get damage off because you only really have Dynamax Cannon, I guess. So
Tabu in chat saying this team has a really good matchup into Pagos and Lunala. Interesting.
Really?
I didn't think. I guess Struggle Bug Volcarona is probably quite good into Pakos. I wouldn't think it's. I guess I don't know. I don't know how the Lunala matchup goes, but I do see that it 1-1 against it. So, anyways, Eternatus.
I guess Struggle Bug and Parting Shot.
Do we think Eternatus is going to see play in Regulation I?
I was looking at it. I don't think it's impossible because it does have a really good matchup into the 2 fighting restricted, which are very present right now. Yeah, that's like my main thoughts on the Pokemon though.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't have any other like. Yeah, I don't think the Mon's looking the hottest right now, and the problem is like it's cool as far as like Dragon type restricteds go, but both of the bikes are too damn good for me to think that you should probably be running it over either of those guys. They've got better speed tiers. This thing is like marginally better at clicking dragon attacks than the other ones because their dragon attacks have like serious downsides in secondary effects or base power, but they make up for it by having like really broken abilities and better stats. I think mostly better stats. Eternatus is of course a bit bulky, but
I think the dragon, like being able to click dragon moves, is something that it can do better than I think probably any other restricted. So like if you need a dragon type that is needs to click dragon moves, it could actually be something that you could look at further. But I do think that it does have some issues in the sense that in G you could probably get away with just running max speed and like creeping a bunch of these like 135s that were like trying to dodge the speed tiers, but when we go to I, people have just dropped the pretense of trying to run creep or whatever. They just are like, yeah, let's all run Tibet or Jolly on my Miraidon and Koraidon. So,
yeah, I will say, Eternatus, I'm really happy it did well. I did see it creeping around the edges of this format. You'd see it make day 2 every so often, go 8-3 at a couple tournaments. Never really did well. So I really thought that there was a point where I thought it was a matter of time before we saw one sneak into top cut, and now here it is at the very end of the format. Cool to see. I don't have
11th best restricted.
11th best restricted. Yeah, well, there's a rotating cast of like 8th best restricteds, right? And so Eternatus broke into the graphic this time. Tied with Koraidon, of all things. It was tied with Koraidon for 8th in usage in day 2. There was one more, I believe, in day 2 as well. Gabriel Alonso made it to day 2 with Eternatus, and I thought there was a Tinkaton version. Yeah. Luis Sotelo also made it. So there were 3 Eternatus. 4? No, there was just 3. 3 Eternatus in day 2, which is pretty cool to see. And yeah, I guess, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this tournament. Couple other shout-outs, I guess. Shout-outs to both Victor and Roxon for making it to top cut. I know Victor started out 1-2 and then ran it all the way back, won the win in on stream. That was cool to see, using Dill's team. Definitely an underappreciated team. It was cool to see them bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing,
you always hate seeing these CSR Dozo teams do well, though, dude. Ugh.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Dozo ties of cringe.
Also,
it's so cringe, man.
I think this tournament had a hard top 16 top cut. Am I seeing that right? That's pretty cool. I don't know if we've had that before.
Oh, that's interesting. The numbers just worked out, I guess.
Yeah, the numbers just worked out.
Wait, how am I not seeing this right? Oh, well, I see it, and maybe standing shows it better.
Oh, wait, no. It says there's a top 32 round.
Oh, it does say there's a top 32 round. Never mind. Yeah, there is. Never mind. I got it wrong.
All good.
Okay.
Oh, it was just a 10-round regional or 10-round event.
That's why.
With,
all right. Nothing too fun there. Did the XO? There was no XO. Okay. I was gonna say XO curse. All right. That's all I got to say about Seville. There's nothing too nothing too interesting going on. Oh, there was a Giratina on stream. How did the Giratina finish?
That's a good question, because I'm like, it didn't go too deep. It might not have even made it down to day 1.
I don't think it made day 2. I don't think it made day 2.
Well,
I think I see it.
Yep,
The
5-3.
thing with
Was it Hugo?
Giratina, yeah, 5-3. The thing with Giratina is that like the typing and stats are actually like kind of good, but it just doesn't have a single good move it can click. Like its moves are so bad. Like it's just depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not good. A different Giratina team finished top 128. Is there really? Oh, I guess there's two
Oh, this
Giratina.
was not the one on stream.
Wait, what?
I
There's a
guess
different Giratina that didn't
oh,
go deep enough.
I guess this is a different
like,
Giratina
what?
than the one that was on stream. There was a different one on stream.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, wait, they didn't even get points? No.
That's crazy.
did not even get points. All right. The next up is I'm done talking about Seville. Unless you guys have final thoughts about Seville that you want to cover.
No, I'm good.
Nah, I think there's probably not a lot more to say about it. And there's I did see Rayon, I don't know if that's how you say their name, but they've been still rocking with the Scarf Kyogre Guts Bear team. They haven't changed it for like the entirety of the Reg G run back, and they've been doing okay enough with it, I feel like. But yeah, just the only person repping Scarf Fish. Pretty goofy. I would not be surprised to see them continue to do it in the next format with another restricted. So
Our fish.
yeah.
Okay. How does this
go ahead,
work?
though.
There we go. I do that. Will that work? Cool. Okay.
Trying to import it into Showdown.
No, that didn't work. Yeah. Does anyone know what it's going to take for me to import a PokePaste into Showdown? Because it is not letting me do it.
Adi, just control the text from it because it was not supposed to be a PokePaste. I needed to send you a bunch of text and it would not. It was too big for a Discord message.
I see. Okay. Yeah,
I don't got Nitro. I'm too broke for Nitro.
It's not pasting.
Huh?
Try if you're in a new
browser,
do it. Import it all. Like instead of doing like in one team, go to like.
Yeah, backup restore. You gotta hit backup restore.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm clicking. Now I can't paste anything.
Let me have a look here.
Shouldn't be anything
interesting. I'll try doing it myself in a incognito browser. Showdown.
Okay.
Team builder. Restore teams from backup. Control V. Save. Yeah, you're just bad.
All right, I did get it
for me.
Well, no, I was trying to do it in a folder and it wasn't listening, but that's fine. I've got all of my points from last year's season. If you want to steal my teams from last year, on here, very big, very big. I could switch to Regulation I as well. Maybe.
Can you
switch screens for us as well
on Discord? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I can do that. No wonder you couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah. No, I was looking at the stream and.
All right.
Trying to figure it out, but it's a little bit on a delay. So.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, so I grabbed 10 of the. We polled the 3 people on this call what they thought that the 10 top restricted pairings were, or so basically for Milwaukee, and I feel like this is like a pretty reasonable list of the 10. Now, of course, as you get towards the bottom, you could probably debate a lot of things. Honestly, you could probably debate number 6 pretty heavily. I got some things to say about Swordfish when we get to it, but it's. Anyways, we're getting out of order here.
Yeah,
I did.
Adi, go ahead and lead us into it.
Interesting. Yeah. This was okay. I mean, this was not my list of 10 for sure, but I guess we all had some different takes, which is always interesting. But yeah, we were trying to figure out how to do this without just doing a tier list, because all the tier lists don't know how to format 2 restricteds, or they put a bunch of junk in there or whatever. So we were just going to talk about the duos that we thought were interesting in the lead up to Milwaukee, and then of course we'll round this out with a Milwaukee preview with our smart monies, and all that good stuff. But yeah, so how do we want to do this? Do we want to just start from the top and go down and just talk about these combos, or what we think about?
Let's do that.
All right. Well, in that case, let's start from the boogeyman everyone's maybe the thing that everyone is most scared of this format right now. Certainly from day one, it's dominated all the Victory Road tours so far. It is Calibric Shadow, Zamazenta, and yeah, it's the team to beat right now. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
So really quick, I do want to say everybody do contribute your bad or good names for the combos, because it's always annoying to have to refer to these restricted combos by their full names. Of course, if it's longer than just typing the names, you know that it's going to be bad. CSR Zama is not that bad. It's only like 7 characters. So it's probably going to be like Shadow Shield is just fun, and like I like Shadow Shield because it's misleading because there's already a thing called Shadow Shield, but like it's also technically an accurate name. Yeah, this is more of a bad suggestion. Anyways, let's talk about the actual merit of the archetype. I think the thing about this archetype right now is that it can look like a lot of different things, and it's the most figured out. It's the most figured out double pairing of any other ones. Like I think like it is far and above the other restricted pairings because of how well these two complement each other. So because of that, like everything else, it might not do as well at Milwaukee. I think later in the format we'll probably see the other archetypes get more and more developed. People are going to definitely have a big target aiming at CSR Zama, but the problem is again, it can still look like a lot of different things. So Scooby-Doo is actually hilarious. I like that one a lot.
Scooby-Doo is really good.
Yeah. So I think there is 2 main variations of this. Basically, it would be like the with Torn aggressive ones and the without Torn balanced ones. I think is where the split basically happens. And both variations are very strong. I think this is clearly the like if you were to say like the strongest team going in, if you were to predict like what would win Milwaukee. I don't think this is actually going to win Milwaukee necessarily, but it will probably perform the best at Milwaukee. A lot of top players are probably going to gravitate towards this because of its consistency. It can play in a lot of different matchups. They pair very well together. They have a lot of options for teammates as well. You can use basically all of the strong non-restricted partners with them because Zama and CSR don't really have a lot of overlap with any of the majorly strong non-restricted, unlike some of the other restricted we'll talk about later. They don't have any clear weaknesses, and even comps that like really target them will still have to work pretty hard to beat them, and you can never really get better than like a 55, maybe 60 if you're like only hard targeting them matchup into it. And so there are some things that we'll talk about later that have kind of come up to try to combat it, but maybe we'll see some people be able to like that are hiding meta strategies try to come to this tournament to with like hidden text or whatever, but from the get-go with limited innovation necessary, these guys were predicted to be strong out of the gate, are strong out of the gate, and will likely be the team to beat going into Milwaukee.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I really do think we might see like a cool different variant of this do very well, because I think that people are going to like, this is definitely on the top people's hit list, but I also think this is in general just the strongest combo of restricted you can use. These are probably the 2 best restricted in the format. So it just makes a lot of maybe Miraidon's up there too, but 2 of the 3 best restricted in the format. It makes a lot of sense to pair them together.
Yeah, I think their inherent synergy is just also like hard to overlook, right? Like it's just strong to use them together because they have so many, like they can play in so many different ways, and are like very versatile and strong and hard to disrupt. So and they work well together. So like, yeah.
Feeling a funny concept from, or not a funny concept, but like a legitimately helpful concept from ESM. He always talks about how with Scarlet and Violet double restricted, it's important to look at like the Terra priority of each of your restricteds, about how like much they need to Terra. I think it's very funny because the second one that I think we kind of all agreed is like the second most potent one has 2 restricteds with quadruple weaknesses, but it still works regardless. The first one, Shadow Rider Zama, they they both don't need to Terra that badly, depending on the sets that they're running. Now, if you're running the Life Orb Shadow Rider, it might need to Terra Dark a little bit more because otherwise it gets a little bit sketchy in the mirror. If you're running the Sash one, though, which is pretty popular too, both of your guys just don't need to Terra that badly, which means your game plans can be very flexible. Your game plans can adapt to the situation. You can Terra Ghost your Shadow Rider to do a little bit more damage. You can Terra Dragon your Zama to make sure it sticks around a little longer. You can Terra non-restricted that you just need to be keeping alive longer into the game. And so I think that is another thing that really enhances this archetype's potency.
Yeah, it's just broken.
It's just broken. It really is.
It really is. It really is. Now, yeah. Man, maybe I should just be playing this thing. Just like it's the team that you can. The thing about this team is that you can probably use Shohei's team and just one trick this team the entire format with minimal changes, and you will be just fine. Like there's so little that like it is the team that is the easiest to figure out as well, which is the frustrating part. Whereas I think a lot of these other mons, we're going to talk about Koraidon, we're going to talk about Rhydon, Rhydon. Those guys have so many unique options you can pair with them, and this one is just like just put the good mons on the team. What do you like? Why don't overthink it? Like there's a pool of 8 good Pokemon that you could pick 4 of.
Yeah, I do think that they're like I wouldn't be surprised if they're like because it's easy to put a lot of good mons in the team. I wouldn't be surprised if later in the format there are some 1 or 2 rogue mons that we aren't thinking about right now that can maybe pop up maybe together on the team. And like I'm a big proponent of that like Zamazenta has like a unique tool set that can enable other Pokemon that are like not like currently thought of as good Pokemon necessarily. So like I do think that there is room for innovation in it, and because people just aren't looking for innovation because it's already the strongest team. It might happen later in the format, but as of right now, I do think it is just the strongest, even with vanilla sets.
You missed me shoving a Clefairy into my camera as you were saying. There's other options.
Yeah. I thought he was talking about Hisui Zoroark. My bad. You know what? I was thinking of different things.
All right.
But yeah, we can probably talk about this one all day and all of the strengths of it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one because the next one's got like I don't know, it's got like a lot more charm at least for the time being. Like it's a lot cooler. It's a lot like spicier, even though it's gonna turn out to probably be like something we get tired of later because it's everywhere right now. It's very common. 2 quadruple weaknesses on your restricted. It's actually 3 because Lunala has 2. ESM, what are your thoughts on that? Because you love stacking quadruple weaknesses.
True. I do think that like out of comparing Lunala to other Pokemon that have 4 times weaknesses, it doesn't have as high terror priority because you don't necessarily need to you don't need to Terra defensively always to get out of a weakness because you can still absorb the hit with Shadow Shield. And also the set that's going around normally on Koraidon on these teams is Life Orb, and Life Orb actually has lower Terra priority than the team like in Reg G because the Terrifier is less like you can still reach a lot of offensive breakpoints without Terrifying, and then with Terrifier, like defensively tearing is a little bit fake on it with Life Orb since your goal is just to like trade damage anyway. And normally you're dying with or without Terra, or like you're getting 1 extra hit or whatever, which sometimes matters but sometimes doesn't matter. So like Koraidon has like kind of with the Life Orb set has like deceptively low Terra priority, despite its like kind of sometimes being stuck in a lot of like bad positions from that in that sense. Like in the Life Orb set, you don't care that much about sticking around is the truth of the matter, I guess.
Yeah, and what I think is maybe the most potent thing about this combo is that basically every Pokemon on your team is a restricted. Like I've pulled up the Koraidon Ursaluna Lunala team that got top 16, I think, or top 8 at the Victory Road tournament. Mm-hmm. Definitely seen a lot of this team on ladder, and it does just feel like when you're in Sun, all 6 of your Pokemon have restricted level stats. Your Lunala is going to be able to do damage, but also functions as a support Pokemon. Same with your Fluttermane, same with your Brute Bonnet, which is really cool. Even Chi with Snarl is like flexible in whether it wants to be this like heavy hitter or whether it wants to be a little bit more of a support option. And And it just means that you have the option to, with the exception of Koraidon, which you probably bring pretty much every game, you can kind of mix and match however you want. It has the lowest, even though these, like you said, I think both these restricteds do kind of want to Terra. They don't have to Terra, but the fact that you can drop a restricted so easily with this team is, I think, one of its strengths, and also one of its weaknesses. Like it kind of goes both ways. But I do think that that is one of the more interesting aspects of this team that allows it to have two restricteds that have 4x weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when
beyond that,
especially when Fluttermane hits both of them super effectively, right? Like it has one Pokemon that hits both of them for 4x. Sorry, go ahead.
CSR too.
I do think that like past that, that these one of the strengths of this team is also just that it like fighting Ghost is like just a very strong pin. Like it's almost impossible to get by. So you have that working for you within the restricteds, but also like Koraidon is one of the most ignorant Pokemon like that's ever been printed, in the sense that like even if you like resist its attacks, it doesn't, like, you never really resist its attacks. You have to turn off the weather to play around it, and then it has a lot of different game plans. Like you have options to Trick Room to counter like heavier like Tailwind strategies, and if they try to stop your Trick Room stuff, you have the fast mode with Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, and Koraidon. So it's like you kind of have a mix of both options, and it just has very strong Pokemon individually. So
yep.
We were talking about the names, of course. Adi, go back and pull up the names. I do think I genuinely have been using Koala to refer to this. This is, the second most common restricted pairing currently right now. So it is something you want to refer to by shorthand. And so Koala has been genuinely convenient to refer to this one. Koraidon, like Ko, and then Ala, like Lunala. Sun and Moon is the bad name that I listed because, of course, I think the thing is, you guys got to keep this in mind when you're referring to names. Like Jimmy said here, Lunadon 2. Even Lunadon 2 is not specific enough because, like, do you mean Miraidon or Koraidon? And then, like, if you refer to something as, like, Sun, well, it could technically still mean our guy Groudon. Oh, wait. All right, Adi, what do you got? The Reddit thread? What is this? Nightlight?
I love this because it's so out of pocket. It was not mentioned at all in the post. It's like, the dude said, the name is Nightlight. Get it right. Like, what do you?
Oh, well, they said.
That's crazy.
They state it like defiantly. I love it. I love
they
it.
They state it so defiant. Look at there, like the Lunadon, Corolla, which, by the way, both are wrong. I get it. I get why they wanted to correct them, but no, it's not Nightlight. I'm sorry. It is in fact Koala. I think Koala is the one that is the most descriptive.
Should we give a rating to these guys? Like we could do like an S to like a tier list rating, or like a 1 through 10 maybe.
We can rank them. We can rank them. This is number 1.
I
right?
think probably just ordering them, and you could just order them like 10.
Yeah.
Like I listed them in probably the most. Go ahead.
Right. But I also don't think that like ranking them relative to each other is that helpful, because like it doesn't as accurately capture like how strong they are relative to each other, right? Like because 2 through 5 could be like all similar, and then like 1 is a lot better in this case. So I think like giving maybe a number score like a S through B or whatever tier list ranking might be.
I think visually it will look really lackluster in the Showdown team builder, if I'm being completely honest. This is what we needed the tier list maker for, but I couldn't find a good tier list maker that had all the pairings that I wanted, but also not too many.
Fair enough.
Audi closed the stream, I'm guessing for...
It was lagging a little bit.
A reason?
Yeah, it was lagging a little bit.
Go ahead. We don't need it.
Yeah. Every time. Cool. Thank you for letting me know.
No, genuinely we don't need it. It'll be fine.
Okay, sure. All right. With that, so I think that's... I think that, for the purposes of this stream, the way we've got it laid out, it's easier to rank them than it is to give them tiers. So I think we're going to stick to ranking them. But we can, kind of make it clear that what we think the relative power level is. And I guess, right now, we've only ranked...
So with that said, though, yes, and what do you think?
I think 1... so out of the ones we talked about so far, 1 is, of course, CSR Zama, and I do think there's a big gap between 1 and 2. I do think Koala is probably 2 for now. I'm less certain of that, but I'm okay with putting it at 2.
Yeah. I think it's 2, and yeah, I would say that it's like, yeah, big gap, probably like solo S tier for Scooby Doo as we have it listed here, and then Koala. I think it's probably the top of like A. I don't know if there's like a whole like blank tier between Shadow Rider Zama that we need to like say it's like unbeatably strong, because otherwise, what are we doing here? Why would we be playing anything else? But anyways, the next one might not be the next one. I put it in terms of popularity. This third pick one is definitely the third in terms of popularity. The big gap. No. There's no big gap, Adi. But the next one is BBSS, of course. Go ahead.
So I think going into the format, everyone thought this would be the core that can compete with CSR Zama. Everyone was looking at it and they were saying CSR Zama, Miraidon, Ice Rider are the big two. This one has not performed as well in grassroots tournaments so far. It's gotten a couple slots in top cut, but not more than Koala, much less CSR Zama. And that being said, there are a couple reasons why I think that it might see more usage than that. The first is that I just think Miraidon is either the second or third best restricted in the format. It's like CSR number 1, obviously, but behind that, I think it's Zama and Miraidon are just like the two craziest restricteds. Koraidon maybe up there too, but Koraidon is more because of the Pokemon it enables. So Miraidon, absolutely crazy Pokemon, and I think it's going to see some play. But also, we were talking about synergies, and I really think that these two just have the some of the best synergy among restricted Pokemon in terms of offensive synergy. You get, like we said, we called it the Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich. Of course, and I'm not going to do the whole bit where we explain this very slowly like we normally do. But it's just it's a fast electric type with a slow ice type. We used this with Regieleki in the past, for example, in 2022. And it's the classic Bolt Beam combo where there are very few Pokemon that can switch into that combo if you have them both on the field. You also have a whole lot of partners you can consider. Most of the ones that I've seen are using Miraidon for Farigiraf Iron Hands, that combo that was so powerful in Regulation G that teams really struggle to break through. Except now, when you're in Trick Room, you have another Pokemon that can throw out all the pressure or set up Trick Room in Ice Rider. And I really do think that it maybe isn't the second or tier 1A restricted combo that we thought it would be, but I do think it is comparable to Koala in power level, and it's probably right now in my ranking the third best combo because Miraidon, Ice Rider, Iron Hands, Farigiraf, and then you get 2 flex slots, but that core 4 is just so strong right now.
Okay, so I'll start with the hot takes.
Or should I?
I think I'm the bigger BBSS hater here, so I can do it, and then you can maybe reel me back a little bit.
Yeah, I'll walk into the middle. Cool.
So I actually think I tested this pairing a little bit, and I have some like serious issues with this pairing. The issue with the core of like Farigiraf, Iron Hands, or like a lot of people thought that coming into the format that we would just be able to slot Ice Rider into the Urshifu slot easily, which or like place it in Arubega basically. And it clearly hasn't worked out that way. A lot of the pieces on Arubega kind of require the entire structure to be together soundly. And we like at this point, it's an open secret, I guess, that some variation of Arubega with one other restricted over any of the slots of Arubega is not going to like do well. It has some major issues. If you remove Whimsicott, for example, and you're reliant on Miraidon, Ice Rider, you're reliant on Trick Room for your main speed control, it becomes harder to play around Miraidon. You don't have an option for a fast mode. The modes are not super obvious together. Like if you want to go heavier into a Trick Room mode, it can be hard to play around Miraidon, and then Ice Rider maybe doesn't always accomplish the most with like an Iron Hands, Farigiraf, Miraidon, Ice Rider. It can be hard to set Trick Room, and then Ice Rider might not be able to cover weaknesses. both Miraidon and Ice Rider both require like a good amount of terror priority, especially if your specs on Miraidon. Miraidon has like relatively high terror priority. I was like say mid high, and then Kelly Ice has extremely high terror priority, so it can be difficult to manage that. And then also when you have high priority restricteds, it means that it takes away from the priority of your non-restricted. So it means that other Pokemon, like for example Ogerpon, which would have been a great terror candidate on Miraidon teams in the past, can't have as much terror priority as well. So BBSS, I think it's not impossible to fix. I do think that the inherent synergy between the two Pokemon is still high, and there is some synergy with it. And I do think Miraidon is a strong Pokemon, but I actually don't agree that it's the third best or even second or third best restricted. Like the issue is that its natural partner, I guess, in Cali Ice, I haven't like I know that there are teams floating around, but I don't think that they have been solved at this point. And um, oftentimes Miraidon teams are more dominated by Miraidon, and it feels like a Miraidon team with another guy attached on. Like you're playing Reg G, but with like a premium, slightly premium, non-restricted, I guess. Like it doesn't feel like you're playing with two restricteds. And because of that, I feel like Miraidon has not felt the strongest overall. And I would say that the pairing as a whole in BBSS, I would say like in a tier list setting, I would put it as like a B tier. And within this top 10 ranking, I would put it somewhere around like 5, 6, I would guess. And yeah, that's my current thoughts on the pairing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly which one's going to be above it, but I do think that there are probably some that end up above it. It's just like the honestly the simplest way to explain what it's like using this archetype is that they put the Rillaboom out in front of your Miraidon, and you're like, cool, this is okay. We've planned for this. I'm gonna Glacial Lance that guy because that's their way to deal with my electric moves. And then Rillaboom U turns out to Incineroar, and your Glacial Lance hits the Incineroar or the Zamazenta, and you're like, the target, it's moving. Stop, get back here. And so like you have to very carefully set up your ability to like set up those pins. And somebody did mention it in the chat, and I will agree that Miraidon's not that big of a Terra Hog. I think it's just like it could use it, it could not. Because the specs one with like the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam, like it's not really that important to use that for the spread move anymore because you have Glacial Lance as a spread move. But that said, the Kali Ice is absolutely a very big Terra Hog, and so it does limit your options for your Miraidon a little bit more, probably in most cases. Is it the best partner for Miraidon? Legitimately, it maybe isn't. Despite the natural synergy, one of the ones we might talk about later, I think, is feeling really solid. And
I think it's a better.
But anyways, it probably is the better one, right? And so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, which ones we'll put over it. We'll probably save that for when we talk about those ones. Maybe slide them up as we go. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's the third best archetype at the very least.
And okay. I'm gonna give the disclaimer here that I do think that by the end of the format, this can definitely change for sure. And I think CSR Zama will likely not fall from the top 2 or 3 archetypes at the very least. But I think for CS or for BBSS, I do think that right now it's like hovering around between 5 to 10 range, I would guess. I don't know exactly where it is, but somewhere around there. But I do think by the end of the format, it's likely that it can rise heavily because I do think that the synergy between the two Pokemon are good. I just don't know how you're solving some of the issues with it right now.
Yeah, I do think that's also true. I think that it has some of the most options for partners, partially because Miraidon enables a lot of partners, and partially because Ice Rider enables a lot of partners by being the fat tricker mod, right? So you do have a lot of things that you can play with, and I think it's going to take some time to kind of solve this pairing. I don't know if we'll ever solve this pairing. I think it's always going to have tools to beat the metagame when you have access to all of the Quark Drive months and all the Tricker months, but I also think it's going to be a little bit of a meta call potentially if you really want to win with this pairing. That's fair. It might be lower. It might not be the third best, but I do think it's still quite good.
What do we have as fourth? Ooh, is this
have-
the third best? Honestly, the thing is like, I feel you on that, definitely. But
I think
yeah, I
there's
guess I'd go
two.
ahead and introduce us into it.
Yeah.
The next two I could accept as the third best.
So this is
Got it.
Pagos Zama, and sorry, Pagos.
Wait.
Me, Pagos Calyrex.
Okay.
Excuse me, Pagos Calyrex. I've got an example of this on screen. I think this is probably the standard version of it that we've seen. This got top 8, I believe, in the last Victory Road Tour. And I mean, there was a period on ladder where I feel like I was playing this exact team every third match. It's kind of cool. It is. I mean, I'm saying it usually is when you're pairing these two together. It is Combined Pagos with the Focus Sash support Calyrex. Obviously, support Calyrex is still like very threatening. It still has a crazy special attack stat. It can still Astral Barrage through a team if you let it, but it also has Will-O-Wisp to hit physical attackers to punish you for trying to attack the Combined Terapagos. Has Pollen Puff to give it Terra Shell back so it can set up safely. It has a Focus Sash, so it's not really as much of a Terra Hog as it normally is. Combine that with the double fake out redirection core that we've seen on a lot of these Calyrex Shadow teams, and you've got a pretty potent Combined Terapagos team. This is a team that did really well in the first Victory Road Tour. It got a couple slots in top 8, I believe. It did a little less well in this tour. It got 1 slot in top 8, but it has been pretty constantly around in the early format, despite it not being a pairing that I expected to see a lot of. And it has proven to be very, very annoying. That being said, at least in my opinion, I do think this is a little overrated. They have some cool synergy together, but I do think that Pagos is inherently one of the weaker restrictors that you could be using. It gives you a lot less flexibility in your game plans. It's very linear, and most people know what it does and can game plan for it. It's hard to lose to it if you know your game plan because its game plan is so straightforward.
I disagree with it's hard to lose to it if you have a game plan into it because you have a lot of options to protect it, and the Pagos player, like if you play basic, like it can get you very far, but if you can also mix up some of your game plans a little bit, Pagos is a big Terra Hog, but there can be lines where you don't Terra it because Baby Starstorm is still very strong. And tearing CSR in those to like get extra value can be really, really powerful. Both of these restricteds like similar partners. I think there's a few different variations on what partners there are and like specific move slots, especially on Shadow Rider, that can change certain matchups. But overall, I would say this is the third strongest pairing right now because Pagos can be very ignorant as well. Like you can, for teams that don't have a matchup into it, you can never beat it. And if like your team can't answer double fake out plus Pagos plus CSR, like you will just never win that matchup. And it's like there are a lot of teams that I mean, it can be a flaw in team building, but it is very, very hard to answer. And just having, if you think just having an Iron Hands or having an Urshifu is good enough just because it's a fighting type, it's just definitely not the case. And the team can be very hard to punish with like teams that rely on Tailwind or Trick Room to like gain speed control because it's easy for this team to stall that out. You can't really rely that heavily on terrain or like Miraidon, for example. It tends to have a very tough time dealing with both the Rillaboom and the Pagos because you just make so little progress. Lunala, which is another strong restricted in the format, can't really touch Pagos at all, and it will always lose. Like when both of them are on the board, you're like kind of losing progress. Because the Pagos will always just heal or Calm Mind or be able to hit the partner or whatever else. So like a lot of those factors add up, and because CSR is on like a large majority or like a lot of teams at the moment, and Pagos' matchup into CSR is so good, it can feel like it's very, very tough to make like good progress. And oftentimes, if you can get a free +1 or +2 on the Pagos, and you get Pagos and CSR next to each other, like it can just be game over. Like it's very, very hard to actually stop that. because even with like Pokemon that have Wide Guard, they can just not click Terra with their Pagos, and then you're in a losing position because you're the
Oh
one.
yeah, what are you gonna do to my Lunala, buddy? Huh? Terra Starstorm me? I'm immune.
Terra, how are
Next
you?
question.
Right.
Yeah, but
that's
yeah, like
power
it's right. Like oftentimes you're forced to be in the driver's seat against this kind of team as well, because if you don't do anything, they will like beat you by attrition. Like they will eventually get to the point where your Pokemon can no longer handle them at all, and the Pegos becomes unkillable, and you lose the game, right? So like it's it definitely has some weaknesses, and the fact that it's a slow play reactive team means that um, you're susceptible to being like a more reactive play style. But I think overall it has a lot of tools to facilitate that game plan, and good players playing this archetype will like um, will easily rise to the top. And I think just because of that, I would say it's the third strongest restricted right now, or restricted pairing right now.
Mm-hmm. I think you've got some good points there. And yeah, the biggest like the thing about this team is that we're talking about these fighting type restricteds being some of the most common ones, Rhydon and Zamazenta. And it's gonna be a fun little back and forth. Like I think if a team doesn't consider their Terapagos matchup very heavily, they'll get like one good shot to hit the turtle if they call out a lot of the good like the basic positioning that the Pagos team is doing. Um, and if you decide to dedicate more to dealing with the Pagos, putting on like an Encore, like I don't know, Clear Smog or Haze or some shit like that, I guess, to punish it for setting up, you might be able to do a little bit more in the matchup and make it like really difficult for them. But even at the bare minimum, you can try to line up that one chance to hit him. It's just not very reliable. So like this is a team that you probably need to have a bit more of a game plan into than just saying, I got a fighting type, I'll be fine. Somebody in the chat did mention that Snarl kind of just like folds this duo. And no, I think the answer is yes, by the way. Like I do think if you're specifically playing against this team that we have on screen here, if you have like a Scarf Chi-Yu plus anything that keeps the Rock Pond from killing your Scarf Chi-Yu, they will never kill your Scarf Chi-Yu. Of course, you might have to watch out for the Flutter like Thunder Waving you, I guess, but that's also preventable. So yeah, I do think that like people were mentioning AV Light Screen just beats this team, kind of a little bit. Like you can't let the Pagos get infinite boosts and try to kill it with special attacks, but if you are clicking Snarl every turn with your Chi-Yu, they're not going to be able to make progress. You won't make enough progress. It's going to kind of just come down to like a 1v1. Can your other Pokemon beat their other one Pokemon? And sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah. Also, one other thing to add here about, since you mentioned the fighting type restricted, I do think Zama is better into this, like these teams in general, but Zama can be disrupted by CSR. I think Koraidon, especially with the current iteration that people are running, which is with Life Orb, is actually super frail, and it can be very difficult for you to actually hit the Pagos between like fake outs, protects, redirection, and Shadow Rider like pressuring you, and you having like limited survivability because of just like having Life Orb and recoil. So like especially because a lot of these teams will also have like a Moongus and, or something similar, and like sometimes they'll just force you to kill the Amoonguss with a Rocky Helmet, and you have to Flare Blitz it, and then you just take like your entire HP bar, and then you just get no chance to hit the Pagos. So if like that is and also Koraidon a lot of times will want to Terra to avoid Wisp or avoid like certain things or get more damage for Flame Charged so that you don't have to Flare Blitz, and then if they call you on that and they click Terra Starstorm on that turn, you might just die on that turn. So like the game plans can be relatively fragile into both of those fighting, or especially Koraidon into Pagos, and I think Zama can also be disrupted with Wisp and Rage Powder from Amoonguss, or like Thunder Wave from Flutter, or like these other potential like things, like anything that if you like status it can really prevent it from being like a solid answer into Pagos. So like even though you would think that it wouldn't be that good, I guess. Like I guess myself included, when we first were coming into the format, I think this was not something that was on anybody's radar. But after playing against it a lot, I do think that this is just very, very strong.
I'm glad you mentioned the Koala team because I really think that team kind of has an unlosable matchup into this because you mentioned Koraidon can't Terra, but you have wide guard pressure with Lunala, so you kind of can Terra. If you have Lunala with wide guard, you're actually like really not threatened. Obviously, this one does have Earth Power on Pago, so that's a little bit more of a threat. And those are the teams that have the Snarl Chiyu, right? So those are the teams that also can kind of snarl you down that way really effectively. You don't have a lot of counterplay into that. And they also have like the Brute Bonnet with Spore, and so they can Spore your Pagos, and you don't have a Assault Vest. You don't have a Safety Goggles on this team. So you have to rely on Cornerstone to avoid getting spored. Very frail Pokemon. So I don't know. I feel like that's the one matchup. And of course, you have the best Pokemon, one of the best Pokemon of the format that can absolutely nuke a Terapagos, which is Life Orb, Koraidon. And so if you just line up that one attack at any point in the game, you also just win the game. And so I feel like that team specifically has a lot of tools to beat this team. And I also think I think that's the main one. And I can also see this team struggling with the Farigiraf, Miraidon combos. Like obviously you get to set up in front of Miraidon and Farigiraf, but if they have one partner next to it that you can't fake out consistently and they can get through your Ogre Pawn, you don't have a lot of play. You don't have great ways to get through the Farigiraf on its own. And so I don't know. I see a lot of weaknesses with this team that I struggle to solve in team building. I struggle to solve in team building with this team. Whereas when I'm team building against this team, it does feel like a matchup check that I can think through my matchup, and as long as I have a matchup, I can consistently beat it. Even though, like you said, yes, you're right. If you forgot your double fake out CSR matchup at home, you are going to lose to this team. You're going to lose to every double fake out CSR team, regardless of what the Pagos is, right? Like you're going to lose to the CSR Zama team most of the time too if you can't deal with the double fake out. So I don't know. I'm not really sold.
Audio speaking from experience from us trying to do some testing out earlier today. It's like we just stole some teams, and it was like, dude, if you don't have a good answer for fake out plus Shadow Rider, like what are we even doing here?
Yeah,
I do think you're underselling the team a little bit. I think there are some options. I do think Scarf Chiyu is not the best matchup, but there's I haven't played it myself, so of course I don't have experience playing this team and seeing exactly what it's weak to. I've heard from other people and also playing against it with a variety of different teams. But I'll say the one thing that is the most annoying for playing against or trying to match up into it is that you would think Iron Hands or Urshifu is can help you or would go a long way in this matchup just to be able to deal with the Pagos, but oftentimes they are just ignorant of that kind of stuff. So it is not enough. You need to have multiple ways to deal with it, and if you have Snarl and a strong fighting type and wide guard and this and this and that and this, yes, you can beat it, but even then they will still have options into you, right? And oftentimes on the more recent builds I've seen of it, I think Amoonguss has been more of a mainstay, and Amoonguss complicates the situation just a significantly amount more. So I would say that it is, in my opinion, the third strongest restricted pairing.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't think we move on from it, guys. Actually, do you have a better name for it? Anybody got any good names? I don't know. I saw Sea Turtle in the chat from somebody. I was like, that's pretty funny because it's Sea Turtle. Sure.
Okay, but that's just one of the Pokemon. That doesn't describe the other part.
It only has to describe the
the
sea,
sea
is the Shadow Rider.
I see
the letter C, right?
It could technically mean Cali Ice, so I guess I can't really give that many points to it.
Sure.
Because that's just Calyrex.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are there any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that we can refer to now? Who are they?
Bedtime, dude. That's what I'm saying. Just call it Bedtime. It's just boring. Ghost in the Shell is actually a hard name.
That's a hard name.
Wow, that's actually pretty based. Terapaghost, that's actually pretty funny too.
Terapaghost is a good one.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure out exactly where we're putting it. I'm okay with putting it third for now. It's probably a little more potent than Ice Rider Miraidon, at least at the time
I
being.
don't know. I don't know if that's
Anyways,
true, but if that's true, we're gonna be dropping BBSS a lot because I
yeah.
really think that this team has got a kind of shit. All right, next up. You know what? I'm going through the rest of them, and actually, I don't have as many as I thought that would be higher than it. So I might just have to swap these two and call it a day. All right, CSR Koraidon is the next combo. This was a combo that I think a lot of people theoried out at the start of the format because again, CSR with fighting coverage is really good. I can say I tested this team out. And in contrast to CSR Zama, it is obviously much more hyper offensive. It has a lot more like fun offensive tools that it can use using all the photosynthesis mods, using all the strong fire types paired with these guys. We did have, I think, one player, I think it was Alan Martinez, top cut both the VR tours with this combo, so it's been around a little bit. The big downside for me when I was testing this is that while CSR and Koraidon are really good when you put them next to each other on the field, and also they are both the fastest things on the field, which you'd think would happen pretty inherently given their speed stats, it's actually kind of hard to line that up. It's not the easiest thing in the world to line that up. And in the when you don't have that exactly, you are relying on your other weapons to continue to, I don't know, put on offensive pressure, which is fine. You have a lot of offensive mods, but then you're just playing like a pretty standard hyper offensive team, which might be good enough. I do think this combo is very potent, but I think it was less potent than we initially anticipated at the start of the format.
Yes, you can go.
Okay, sure. I think this is so this pairing probably breaks a few rules that like we've kind of discovered some of the rules of about what makes a good restricted pairing. Oftentimes having one fast and one like bulky mon is important because it can give you a more balanced game plan. These guys are just two of the fast guys, as opposed to both of their other best pairings with Koraidon's Lunala and Shadow Rider's Zama. In this case, you're just going all in on offense. I think that the big thing that it has going for it is that it has a good matchup into CSR Zama, especially if they don't have Torn. But even if they have Torn, I think it's generally still a good matchup because you're just faster and have more offensive pressure, and your typings line up pretty well because Koraidon just has a naturally strong matchup into Zamazenta. And because of that, like I think that's where the main strengths of the pairing lie. I think it's the strongest hyper offensive team in the meta because of that. Just because of that, like it has a lot of options to just blow you up and play in your face. And I think hyper offense in general can be like a bit of a inconsistent playstyle, especially because of its inherent weakness to Trick Room. And this duo does not have a good time into Trick Room. I do think that it helps a little bit that Trick Room is at one of the weaker points, in my opinion, that it's been for like a long time. And there's some cases with Lunala that you can set it up, and for a Giraffe maybe, but like all of those Pokemon are kind of vulnerable to being just like killed, which means that it can be sometimes hard to set up Trick Room even with like some extra tools to help you. So because of that, I do think that does help this pairing a little bit. And when more balanced Trick Room teams, especially with like Ice Rider, and can come along later down the road, this team might fall off. But as of right now, I think the fact that CSR Zama is top dog and that it has a lot of strong offensive tools, and with Koraidon enabling even other strong offensive tools like Raging Bolt or Chiyu that you often see on the comp, it just has a lot of pressure, I guess.
Yeah, I think the vibes are just rancid, dude. Like it's just so much go go go. I'm just not really an HO player. I can like respect a good HO team, but like a lot of them do have to like bust out some really like less than impressive tools to get through Trick Room or any team that can defensively switch into like a lot of their combos of offense. Of course, they're gonna try to cover their bases as much as they can with the 6 Pokemon they put on their team. But yeah, like looking at this team, it's been doing well enough, so I'm not going to completely dismiss it. You do need to be ready for something like this. But yeah, the fact that both of these Pokemon don't like Trick Room that much, and like Trick Room, it's well, maybe like not hard Trick Room is doing well. Like there's still like some pretty viable Trick Room setters. Like Lunala is seeing quite a bit of play, and if Lunala ever finds a safe moment against these two to get it up, like then it's just going to be a lot of pain from there. It has like tools. Brute Bonnet and DD specifically on this version can definitely do something about it, but I'm personally not a big fan of this pairing. I like I don't know. It'll see results honestly just because people are like too damn committed to it when they shouldn't be. But I think it will probably fall off over time. Go ahead, Audie.
I do think that the strongest version. Sorry, I'm cutting you off here a little bit, but I do think one of the strongest versions that is like you haven't really pulled up is with the ability shield as well on Koraidon.
The
Koraidon
wheezing.
with the wheezing, and that team is like insanely annoying to play against because if it can just shut off your entire game plans and you're forced to play their game. Both of their restricteds get their abilities still, and they can just kill you. And if your team is reliant on weather, terrain, then or like Predo or anything, like you just have fun, I guess. And it's like not very cool. And I think wheezing is insanely cringe, but
Yeah. Do we have a good name for this one? Man, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was kind of staring at it. Like I put like a initial swing at all the ones that I had, but then I was like, I can't let this hold me up too much before I pass you the list. And I couldn't come up with anything for this one. What's the name of that? They're actually like in the Marvel Cinematic Ghost Rider. The thing is, like Ghost Rider, it would sound like it could be Miraidon as well, but like I think he's like literally like a flaming head. I think, and so I think it sounds all right. Solar eclipse is not allowed because that can technically refer to. Also that could definitely like refer to Lunala teams.
Lunala, yeah.
But also it could.
Definitely, it definitely eclipse is what a lot of people have been calling Koala as well.
We gotta call it. Call it Umbra. That's the name that I got, which is like the solar shadow. It's the area behind the moon when we have the eclipse.
Mm-hmm,
no, we how are we feeling about that?
It's like okay, I guess. If we
Well,
agree on it, it's fine.
That's the best I got. I'm sorry, I don't hear anything better right now.
It's fine. This one's gonna be bad, so I think that's why. Again, we can't just say sun, guys. We can't just say sun. I know that Groudon is kind of dog shit, but like technically, he also sets up the sun.
And for what it's worth, if you are using Groudon, CSR is one of the partners that you would use with it, right? So like it is a combo. You can see.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
What's next? Good question. So that one, I think we're all reasonably low on, but certainly lower than the top 4 that we had so far. Next up, Swordfish.
I'd put it above BBSS personally.
I'm sorry, that's too far. That's too far.
I'll fight you there because I don't have a lot of. I think it's worse than like you said in your spiel about it. Like this is just like not their best partners.
Quite frankly, I think that there is maybe there's a couple that I'd consider putting above BBSS, but I don't know. They're all kind of the same tier. That one is not one of them.
What's next though? What's next?
We got Swordfish. We got Swordfish up next. That one we don't have to think about a name. Nor do we have examples to pull up because this team fucking sucks. I didn't even put it in my top 10. Alex, I think Alex
disagree.
Alex, I think was considering dropping it from his top 10 too. All right, Swordfish. Swordfish, of course, the classic combo that was so good in 2022. I think a lot of us thought it would be very good in this format as well. As you can see here, I think not a single one made day 2 of the last Victory Road Tour, despite the fact that it has some shooters. There's a lot of people who really like this combo, and it is nowhere to be seen. It's just the idea is that that Zacian really doesn't like fire types, and Kyogre kills the fire types, right? Like it really doesn't, both offensively and defensively. Ground types defensively too as well, right? Zacian doesn't want to take ground type hits. It doesn't have a problem killing ground types normally, but it doesn't like. For sure. Kyogre helps it out a lot, defensively and offensively, which seems to make a lot of sense there. It's Zacian especially, you could imagine, might have a really difficult time against Koraidon and Groudon teams, and there are not a ton of weather setters, and so having Kyogre to turn off the weather and to reset that is really powerful. And it's hard for me to explain what the problems with this archetype are but it just hasn't seen any play, and I think it's just because you are using two underpowered restricteds. Zacian got a lot worse when it couldn't reclaim its Intrepid Sword ability, and so it has to stick on the field. And unlike Zama, it's a lot easier to reduce Zacian's stats, and so it's very easy to just kind of reduce its damage output. Kyogre is similar because of all of the wide guard. It's stuck in an awkward spot where it has to fit Hydro Pump onto its set to really do any damage in front of Zamazenta or Lunala, which are both very common. And if you're running the traditional Water Spout Origin Pulse set, which is probably Kyogre at its strongest, it doesn't get to hit those Pokemon, which is really bad. And Zacian doesn't really hit those Pokemon either, which is also really bad, right? So you're running like suboptimal movesets to try to have a shot at beating the metagame, which is already is a mark against using two restricteds that are not in the top 5 restricteds in terms of power level, in my opinion. Maybe one of them is 5th. So yeah, that's kind of the downside of it. Also, you miss moves. Like you're clicking Hydro Pump, you're clicking Play Rough with it, so you also have the opportunity to get unlucky on top of all of that. So there's a lot stacked against it. So even though the natural synergy is there, I think this archetype has not seen a lot of play, and I think it's very reasonable that it has not seen a lot of play. That being said, I did see it in chat. Zacian, if you're looking for an answer to the Bolt Please Please sandwich, Zacian is maybe the single best mon into that, hitting Miraidon and Ice Rider super effectively. So that is one cool thing that you have going for you if you are running the Zacian combination.
I would say it's not. Well, okay. So the first thing I'll say is that it is maybe overrepresented for how strong it is in ladder, because it is very popular still on ladder. And there are a lot of players that are like mid-high ladder, even high ladder, that have that are consistently playing this. And I've seen it like a fair bit on ladder. I do think that it's weaker than BBSS if we're using that as a bar for how strong a team is right now. So it'd probably be the weakest of the pairings that we've talked about, in my opinion. But I do think that it is still pretty good. When I tested it myself, I felt very strongly about the duo. Like I do think that there are things that people are doing wrong with the pairing right now. Like just put Hydro Pump on Kyogre, guys, and I think Zacian is by itself was a lot weaker than I had expected, like theorizing about the meta as a whole. But it does pair the best with Kyogre. Like it is, it can shine the most on this comp specifically. And I do think that this pairing is like reasonably strong. I would say it's somewhere in the 5 to 10 range for sure for me.
Yeah, I do not think that this belongs in the top 10. Personally, I'm glad that I get to finally weigh in. I think the dog just needs to be swapped out for the better dog. Unfortunately, I don't even know if like the synergy is like that much stronger, but like it based on like on paper, but they work better. I feel like Zamazenta Kyogre, it's doing well enough that like I almost considered putting that in here, but I think that archetype has not made a big enough impact yet for me to put it on a top 10 thing to watch out for Milwaukee. That said, though, yeah, this archetype is not doing hot right now, and I think it's largely because of the presence of both the fighting types, which is funny because, like, technically we have a fairy type. You can hit the hell out of a Koraidon, but Koraidon can Terra Fire to avoid getting dunked on by the Zacian for the most part. And the thing about Koraidon versus Kyogre is it's not the weather wars of years past between Groudon and Kyogre, where you clicked Water Spout and Groudon switched in and took like 60% from that Water Spout. Koraidon takes like less than 25 from the Water Spout and is just chilling while you switch in on that Life Orb close combat, and you might just die even after the weather reset, depending on your spread, of course. So yeah, I feel like Swordfish is dead in a ditch. Personally, I don't think I would. I don't think I can speak very highly of it.
So C North in chat pointed out it does see a lot of play. In the last Victory Road Tour, it was 5th in usage as far as combos go. 19 people brought it, and not a single one made day 2. Probably says a lot.
Yep.
I will. You mentioned.
That says a lot.
It says a lot. You mentioned Zama Kyogre. I wanted to pull up the results of the biggest tour that happened this weekend. It was not a Victory Road Tour. It did not have an entry fee. I generally think those tours are lower quality as a result, but it did have 145 people. So those are some notable results. And we're going to go through all of these, but we've just talked about these two teams, and I'm going to talk about the third place team at some point as well. There was a CSR Koraidon team that won the entire tournament. And you can see here what it's doing. Another kind of crackhead hyper offense team, very similar to the team that Alan used, except a ditto over the Aditi. And then you also have the A-Ray Taran using Kyogre's Zamazenta. And this was the first time I'd really been exposed to it. I haven't seen it on ladder very much, but he got all the way to second place at this tournament. So that's the first time that I've really seen this combo, but I agree. I think it is immediately more potent than the Zacian variants. It's just more stable than the Zacian variants. You have a stronger defensive core than the Zacian variants. Even though Zacian is naturally a very good defensive typing, I do think that this makes this combo is probably just using more powerful Pokemon in general. And so I agree. I think that I would be more scared of facing a Zama Kyogre than I would a Zacian Kyogre personally. And I think that both of them are fringe top 10 pairings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. What's next?
What's next? Next up, we have something that I know Michael is excited to talk about. We have Miraidon Ho-Oh. So this is a combo that was not on my radar at all. Alex used it on stream and was like, "Hey, this is kind of legit." And so now it is, and I've seen it on ladder a decent amount. I know both of you guys really like Ho-Oh. So I'd love to hear one of your thoughts on what makes it so potent, because I have personally not played any games with it.
I'll go ahead and start this time. But yeah, I did play with it on stream. I know Marco Fiora also tried it out on stream, slightly different versions, but it's kind of just doing the same thing. Like you slap a Fari and a hands on after that, kind of like what we saw in Reg G. However, it's like a consolidated Arubega core. Like your Hearthflame is now a Ho-Oh, and your Whimsicott is also now a Ho-Oh. Of course, Prankster Tailwind is not quite regular Tailwind, but the Ho-Oh is just like a good condenser. It still does some of the things that those other Pokemon do. It gives you the secondary speed control option if you want to go fast. It also gives you the option to hit those Rillabooms with the Sacred Fire and Brave Bird, pairing really well with Miraidon. And then Miraidon, of course, hitting those water types that are going to scare your Ho-Oh away. Not to mention you can switch Ho-Oh in on any targeted ground moves. And like the fact that you're clicking Volt Switch with a Regenerator Pokemon is also just a really fun combo. Like it's just a lot of fun. Isn't that just like kind of dope? Thunderbirds, by the way, pretty good suggestion. I think that one is pretty fire. Anybody else in the chat, keep the names coming. But anyways, ESM, what do you think of the combo?
Yeah, so again, Ho-Oh is not something that most people had on their radar. I was theorizing heavily about it before the format came out, and Ho-Oh has tested extremely well. Alex mentioned that he's been playing with it on stream. I've tried it out myself, like in private, and I think the Pokemon is very strong. One of the reasons why Ho is so good is because of its good matchup into CSR Zama. It resists all of Zama's attacks. It has a good matchup into CSR because of its high special defense. It has a good way to disrupt it. You get Sacred Fire burns, and it's very devastating for Zama. You can Tailwind to help support any of your other Pokemon. As soon as you break that speed tier for CSR, it often becomes a lot less threatening. Another reason why Ho is good with this pairing, like you mentioned the Rillaboom issue, which it solves the Volt Switch Regenerator. It solves ground types. If you're playing against like a Landorus, for example, if you or like Earth Power or whatever. It's also just like very well positioned in the meta. It's just like a good Pokemon in the meta right now, and also it kind of fulfills, if we're talking about a Fastmon with Miraidon, then we have a Fatmon, a defensive backbone Pokemon in Ho-Oh, and then also the other thing is that Ho-Oh is a good Pokemon at playing in both speed modes as well. It's like a good middle middle speed Pokemon in the sense that it can play in Tailwind, it can play in Trick Room, and oftentimes it can be easy to set up a speed control while you have it around, because it's hard for them to deny you from actually getting speed control because Ho has so many turns to do whatever it wants. And because of that, a lot of CSR Zama teams have been forced to adapt to deal with Ho in some way or another. And oftentimes it'll be like, Raging Bolt or adding Rain Dance plus Urshifu or something. And even in those cases, Ho can often still get a lot of value because of Terra. And the other thing that Alex has said this, so I'm stealing this from him, but like in the past, we've always theorized about Ho and like about how it would be good because of its matchup into Primal Groudon, Zerndon at the time, Primal Groudon and Xerneas. And the thing is, when those guys were around, you couldn't really hit them for very much damage with Ho. You would be Brave Birding them or Sacred Firing them for like minimal damage. But in this case, with Zamazenta and CSR, if you get the speed control or get the ability to actually hit those guys, like you're doing a lot of damage, and Sacred Fire Chip being or Sacred Fire Burn being so consequential on Zamazenta just means that the pairing that the mod is better, and also Ho has other targets in the meta that are that it likes seeing. So like for example,
not better to Koraidon, right?
Koraidon, it's pretty solid into you resist both of his attacks, although you do take like a lot of damage. You still generally win damage trades with it. It's good into Zacian if you end up seeing Zacian. Lunala sets that don't have Meteor Beam, or if you force them to Meteor Beam at some point. And of course into Incineroar and Amingus, which are all common staples along on many teams, alongside and also Pokemon like Chi-Yu and a lot of like anything that doesn't hit Ho for super effective damage is generally going to be winning damage trades versus. So because of that, I think it generally is just a very and then the last thing, because Ho has so low Terra priority because its base typing is so strong, it gives you a lot more flexibility. Like, I mentioned at the beginning like about Terra priority being important, or like Alex mentioned, I guess, being Terra priority being important. But another thing to think about is that like if your restricted pairings have low Terra priority, that also means that it opens up other non-restricted to Terra, which is a very strong thing that you can do. And with like pairings that have high Terra priority, you often won't have the option to Terra the other Pokemon, and because Ho-Oh is such a low Terra priority mon, it means that it opens up the Terra priority for your other Pokemon so much more, and that is something that's inherently powerful about it.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to shout out. I know that's like one of the frustrating things about playing at this core is that it's really hard to force out a Terra, and if you you preserve your electric type to deal with the Ho in the end game, and then just like, well, now I can finally burn my Terra and Terra Grass, and you didn't actually preserve the right mon. So that is a good thing to shout. But yeah, this core, I also think this core is better than Swordfish for sure. Do we think it's better than CSR Koraidon?
I think it's better than BBSS,
I'd say so.
And I would put it as fourth. Maybe third even, but I would say fourth.
It's so funny to say that like Ho-Oh might actually be this potent. I don't want to be like too high on our own supply, but like I don't. It's felt good. It's felt like it's got options to do a lot of the stuff that's at the top right now. I would say you could probably reel it back and put it right below BBSS if you want. I really think BBSS is up there just because of usage numbers. I think that like right now the builds are not impressive enough, but it will, like ESM said, probably change later.
I agree. I think that it's potent. It's probably the same. I don't know. A lot of these are very, very close to each other. Like I think that everything under Koala that we've rated so far, everything like the Tarapa Ghost, BBSS, Thunderbird, and Umbra are all very close in terms of power.
Names. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm writing down the names. All right, with that, we are running out of time. We did preview Milwaukee, but we got 3 more to go. I'm glad you limited it to 10. I think we could have easily done 15 given our lists. But yeah, we got Koraidon, Ice Rider as the next combination. Throw out your name ideas in chat. And I guess this is a combo that I didn't expect to see a lot of going into the format, you would think that making your Ice Rider more weak to fire is a bad idea. You mentioned Terra priority, and I think both these guys do have reasonably high Terra priority. They both have some pretty big weaknesses that you want to get rid of. That being said, I have seen a decent amount of this, and my kind of interpretation of this has generally been that the reason for this is because Ice Rider is the best restricted to put next to the standard Sun guys. Like, Koraidon is very self-sufficient. Koraidon, you get to put your Chiyu and your Fluttermane and your Brute Bonnet and your Raging Bolt, and you're like, well, I've got these 5 guys on my team. And this was actually the meme for this week, right? Is I've got these 5 on my team. What do I put next to it? And you don't actually want to bring your restricted. And so we've seen Lunala, we've seen Shadow Rider. Obviously, you can substitute a slot here and there, but it turns out that Ice Rider actually pairs really well with these guys. It just has a lot of synergy. It covers a lot of the holes that you have with these guys. And that's, I think, the main reason why that Ice Rider is on these teams is not because it is has any sort of incredible synergy with your restricteds, but just because it is the highest base stat restricted that you could put next to these guys that you'll actually bring in certain matchups. That's been my take on it. I think it's quite potent insofar as I think the Sun guys are quite potent, and Ice Rider makes a lot of sense in the core. But I also think that it's not going to stand the test of time in the same way that that some of these other teams are. And as I say that, I'm going to pull up the 3rd place team from this week's Spear Pillar Tour, which was Koraidon, Ice Rider, Chiyu, Brute Bonnet, Fluttermane, and this time an Iron Hands as the sort of flex slot on the team. What do you guys think?
You want to go, Alex?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, some people are mentioning the names. What's funny is I was thinking about like Mario Galaxy. I don't know who else played it. Like, they have like a Fire Ice Galaxy, like called I was like, what is it called? It's called like Freeze Flame. I don't think it's specific enough though. Frostburn also pretty good. Yeah, I just feel like it's probably gonna be good enough. Something like that. It's like, yeah, Icy Hot, of course.
Icy Hot is a good one.
Those are all pretty fun, and at a certain point, I'll have to accept that we can just refer to Koraidon as being the Sun, Fire, Hot restricted, and just like Groudon is not, that good enough. But we cannot do Dawn though. We can't do Dawn because, of course, there are too many mons that have the Dawn as the end of their name.
We did mention Lunadon, by the way, which I think might be better than some of the lower end ones that we've had here, but.
Yeah, Lunadon, I honestly was going to potentially list it, but I feel like all the Lunadon players have switched over to Lunadon.
Sorry, yeah, you got to be more specific. Do you mean Lunadon or Lunadon or Lunadon? Because they're all viable.
I think all the Lunadon players have switched over to playing Lunadon, genuinely. No, but genuinely, I think that Lunala Groudon players became Lunala Koraidon players, I think.
Yeah,
I think that if they liked that before, they probably made that switch.
Wait, but what did Lunala Koraidon
I'm going to keep
become?
calling it Lunadon, by the way, because that was the name that was coined for it before this generation, so it gets the claim for what is Lunadon.
Yes, it still can be Lunadon. That one is allowed. When people yell at you for Lunadon being Lunala Groudon, like, they're too new. That's how you know they're too new. Anyways, so... Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention about this archetype was pretty much what Adi said, but I was talking about it with some people after testing it myself with some friends, and I was like, yeah, it does kind of feel like Ice Rider is the feature mon in a Blunder video that, you're just like bringing it for the sake of it, like just kind of, I don't know how many people watch Blunder here, but basically like, thumbnail will be like, we're going to use, I don't know, Conkeldurr in this video, and then like they'll be like 3 minutes into there'll be 1 minute into the video, they'll be like, we need a free switch in on this Moonblast from Iron Valiant, and they just switch in Conkeldurr, it takes 100 from the Moonblast, and then they're like, all right, now let's win with fucking Great Tusk and Corviknight and whatever. And so regardless, it's just how it always goes. Ice Rider feels like the Make-A-Wish restricted. It's just here just to like, because they promised it would have a good time, and like, I don't know, sometimes that duo just it feels like it would rather have something else. It would probably rather have like a Lunala, as we saw, that being one of the strongest picks. Maybe even a Shadow Rider sometimes if it wants to scoop to other Trick Room teams. I don't really know if anything else often can fill the role of it, like necessarily 1-for-1 better besides maybe Lunala. It's still a very solid duo. Burn Beam Speed Sandwich, thank you for that one. That's actually pretty good. So stupid. Yeah. I think that this duo is probably a bit better than I'm giving it credit for. It just needs to be explored a little bit more in depth. And one of the rules that I've kind of like realized, it doesn't apply like universally, because like the third pairing we've said is Terapagos Shadow Rider. But I do think a good rule to have when building your restricted pairings is like physical special does help a lot. It does go a long way to prevent your mons from having overlapping counterplay. You guys kept joking about like, oh, loses to a light screen, loses to assault vest, and it's like, I mean, yeah, kinda loses a snarl as well. Like Ice Rider Koraidon, they both have to worry about Zamazenta having a +1 defense that, you know, is going to be a little annoying for them to overcome. They both have to worry about who gets the clear amulet and who has to deal with Intimidate. It's not that big of a deal for Koraidon. It can run like a Life Orb or something and it'll make do. But regardless, yeah, they have to like make some concessions. They're both being physical guys. Oh, you know what? Electric Seed Fari, that's like another one. But yeah, they're still okay together. And so I do think that they make the list here because it's just like two of the highest power level restricteds. Like, you know, if you're talking like, you know, top 5 restricteds in a solo list, like these guys are probably both in there. Or maybe Ice Rider's not, maybe he's like on the edge of it. But regardless, they just have a lot of fucking stats, right?
Yeah, I think my opinion on this is that this pairing has been unimpressive in general to me. I've seen it a lot on ladder, and I'm mostly a lot less scared of this than the Lunala variants. I think my opinion overall is that Ice Rider is like a lot weaker in this format because of its high Terra priority, and in the past, in Reg G rather, it consolidated both having the Trick Room and the damage part, but now with other options for another restricted, you can like delegate some of the damage to the other slot and have Lunala instead be your Trick Room guy that can be more supportive, still do some damage. But because of that, I think, you know, Koraidon and Calyrex both have high Terra priority, and I don't think this pairing is that strong. I would say it's like at the lower end of this list. I would say it's fringe on the top 10 list even. And maybe I'm underestimating it a little bit. I do know that there are some people that are, you know, trying to champion this and try to bring this to the upcoming tournaments, regionals, whether that's the E or NA ones. I'm not certain, but we'll see how it performs. You know, like at the end of this month, maybe I'll have a different opinion on it based on other people's findings on it. But having played against it on ladder a number of times and seeing it in action, I just don't think it's I don't think it's that good. Like, I would definitely put it below everything else we talked about today.
I'm sorry, I'm putting it above Swordfish. But I agree.
That sounds accurate. Yes,
I agree, and I really think that. So I'll say this: this is my backup team for Milwaukee. If I can't find something better, I'm bringing Icy Hot, and the reason is because it is so easy to play. It just feels like the easiest team to play. That and Koala are both pretty straightforward teams. At least from my experience. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about bringing them. But I think they're very low ceiling. I really do think that this is a combo that is going to get outclassed very quickly as we figure out like better combinations that actually have more synergy. And this is just like taking the Broken Sun guys and putting the stat ball on the team and saying we're going to get there, we're going to outplay our opponents. And a lot of times you are, but yeah, I don't think the actual synergy is there. I think it's just a strong set of Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
All right. With that, let's go ahead and talk about the next combination. We've got two more. We have Miraidon and Lunala this time. We got Miraidon and Lunala. This was a we actually had Seawolf's Mike on a couple of weeks ago. He got top 4 at the first Victory Road Tour with this team. I think that was the first time it was really put on someone's radar. The cool thing that you get to do with this is you get to run Electric Seed on your Lunala, and so you get to really boost it up that way. You get to Lunala being this fantastic support Pokemon that in some ways does exactly what Miraidon needs it to do, in that it helps deal with Ice Rider, which is traditionally like Miraidon's really tough matchup. It can help deal with Shadow Rider both by threatening it with Moongeist Beam, or by wide guarding on the Astral Barrages, depending on their set. It helps deal with Pagos again with wide guard and being a natural ghost type. So it has some. I mean, I need to tell you why Lunala is good. These guys, they don't seem like they have much synergy, and honestly, I don't think they do. I was testing this earlier today, and I'll tell you, and I think that this team is like only okay. I maybe I'm biased because I was not seeing a lot of success with it, but I don't know. I just feel like if you want to do, like, if you really want to win games with Miraidon Iron Hands, there are better routes to take. We've talked about a couple of them already, and that's kind of my take on this core. But I do think that Lunala getting the Electric Seed does let it play in a very different way than we've seen it play otherwise, and that might be enough to justify using this.
By the way, the name for this one is, of course, Electric Keese. It's an enemy from Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or any Zelda game. And yeah, they have bats in the Keese are bats, and then they can sometimes be electric. It's a very easy name to remember it by. And definitely not going to be able to come up with anything better. Echolocation was one I suggested earlier. I don't even know why. Like, bats do echolocation, right? And then, like, that echolocation sounds like it could be like a electric signal thing, I guess. Like, I don't know. No, does that make sense? Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean,
the answer is Batmobile. Just to be clear, Batmobile is the best one for this.
Oh yes, Adi suggested this one earlier, and I thought it was funny. But you can technically use this for Koraidon. Koraidon.
But that one already has a name, so it's fine.
Oh my god, Tardigrade. Oh my god, what the heck?
Do you have anything to say about this, Alex? Because I can go.
I'll go quick with it, but yeah, I think that the main issue is like I said before, like it's not doing a ton at getting through the like special attack or special walls. Like, first off, you're gonna have to worry about CM Pagos, you're gonna have to worry about Assault Vest Rillaboom, you're gonna have to worry about Light Screen ever going up, and so those are some. So those are some tough obstacles immediately. You can definitely like position some of your non-restricteds to help make up for those problems. And like Lunala with an Electric Seed is a lot of fun. I think that part is really cool. This mon just becomes incredibly tanky. And like, you know, maybe it becomes a bit more of a Terra Hog with this role, because it's not gonna want to switch out to give up that defense boost. But it kind of just plays like a Zamazenta, I guess. It has a +1 defense boost. It's got wide guard. It's got some different offensive coverage and, you know, support moves. But at the end of the day, like, it's just kind of like something you can rely on to stick around long enough and make enough of an impact on the battle that I like that aspect of it. But yeah, personally, I don't think I'm putting this above maybe any of the pairings that we've talked about so far. Except for Swordfish. I do think that Swordfish probably just needs to keep going down.
Yep.
Yeah, so what do you think?
Okay, so I like how this pairing feels a lot, but yeah, I agree. I think there's some serious if certain other teams, I think especially the Pagos team, it just cannot like really ever win against Pagos unless you make like a lot of like, I mean, the version that you have on screen can probably beat the Pagos team, but like you're really making a lot of concessions. Like you have Snarl, Encore, Iron Hands, and Urshifu, so like yeah, like you're gonna have some options to it, but like I liked how this pairing felt like just in testing, but because it has issues with Snarl, it has issues with mostly Pagos, I think is a big one to overcome, and I think Assault Vest Rillaboom also, which is, you know, commonly on a lot of the top teams as well, and all three of those things combined just make it hard for it to really function well. You have to rely heavily on non-restricteds as well, which it's actually, you know, Lunala is good at enabling some of those non-restricteds. I do like the Electric Seed part of the Lunala. It feels very strong. It makes it very hard to kill, and a lot of teams will struggle to deal with that. And I do think Lunala is a good support for Miraidon, but because of the issues with Rillaboom and Pagos, especially those two, it does feel like the pairing lacks a little bit of firepower into those two specifically. And I would agree, like I'd be fine with putting it below everything else.
except Swordfish.
And yeah, right. And yeah. Like I do think that notably, this was the team that I felt was the strongest Miraidon team before we discovered Ho-Oh. But since Ho-Oh feels like kind of, like does a lot of the things that provides speed control and is another restricted that has a much better synergy with Miraidon, I do think that like there isn't that good of a reason to run Lunala if you're trying to run a similar type of team. I do think Ho-Oh is just a better version of it.
Oh, it just feels so good, dude. I love that bird.
Yeah.
So fun.
All right. Last but not least, by the way, Batmobile, official name, just to be clear. Last but not least, we have, sorry, Electric Keys is not catching on. Last but not least, we have Calyrex Ice Lunala. This was Alex annexing the top 10 and deciding to put his favorite combo onto the top 10, even though
I'm seeing it a decent amount, okay?
It's around. I mean, as far as the 10th best team goes, you could do worse. But yeah,
I would honestly put it above a good amount of these.
Maybe, yeah. So this is the like classic hard Trick Room combo, right? These are both psychic type restricted, and so they do share a lot of weaknesses, which is one downside. The upside is that Lunala has Wide Guard, which can help deal with that, and one of them gets to Terra, which also helps deal with that. But mostly that this is just the hard Trick Room combination where you put the Aditi and you put the Smeargle on the team, and you click Decorate and you click Expanding Force, so you click Glacial Lands, right? And that's just kind of how this team wins games. I'm sure everyone's seen it before. Yep. I think it is another like cup check type thing where you just have to. You should, if you don't have a matchup, you're going to get overrun. And even if you do have a matchup, you still have to play the games that come with hard Trick Room that involve getting Smeargle turns right, getting Protect turns right, stuff like that. Unless you can hard counter team hard Trick Room, but it's not a high enough priority for anyone to do that. And so I do see what you're coming from, where I do think this team has very few very bad matchups and probably quite a few like very good matchups that you're going to see. And that makes it quite potent.
I gotta say, the name in chat here, I thought it was just twice extended a lot. I didn't realize it was Twilice. That's actually pretty based. It's like a little too annoying to like say out loud or like type, but the pun is like incredible, so I like it enough. I think it's also like nothing's gonna be referring to this as just hard TR, especially because thinking about it, like there's not like a lot of like competition for like different restricted pairings for hard TR. Like I don't think Necrozma of either flavor is beating out Lunala currently. I've tried Dawnwings over this, and yes, it's slower. It's not better. There's Dialga and Palkia. I think they also don't quite cut it.
It would be Kyogre, I think. Kyogre was the only other one that maybe would make the hard TR teams. But
that's true. And
I will still
but it
refer
doesn't
to
have
this
to
team as
be
hard TR.
hard TR build necessarily. I've seen it both non and on hard TR. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I do think it's genuinely kind of strong, genuinely kind of potent, but like also a matchup fishy, like Adi was saying. Like, you know, if it can be a little bit trivial if you just have like a well-placed taunt or something on a certain Pokemon, or you have the ability to reverse Trick Room with a Pokemon they're going to have difficulty removing. If you have like a slow Pokemon that they're going to have trouble with, like Torkoal or Amoonguss or something. I don't see it. There's not a lot of Torkoal out there, but like basically you get the idea. Your own Gutsbear, that's actually seeing a lot of play right now, and if you don't have anything slower than Gutsbear, you're kind of just setting up Trick Room for them. Yeah, I think that these teams won't like they'll probably be at like a kind of like a flat constant usage. They're never going to go away because people love them. People love these types of teams. Hell, I've loved plenty of like similar teams in the past. But I do, yeah, I think that they will never be, not never, but they will, what I'm trying to say is they'll never be like a top 5 archetype or something like that. They might have the chance to go deep in a tournament for sure if they get the right schedule.
Yeah, I do think it's like a little bit wrong to write off Hard Trick Room as ever being able to win a tournament because it literally happened earlier this year. But
yep.
And I do think that the benefit for Hard Trick Room right now is that it's honestly probably the most slept on that Hard Trick Room has been in, at least in like like Scarlet Violet for sure. People are not thinking about Hard Trick Room at all. I see it like very rarely on ladder. Like it's around, but it's like pretty rare, and people are not prepping for it really. Like there are some things that Alex mentioned, like Gut Spare for example, but if you get the turns right, like you can just like run people over, and there are a lot of teams that like don't have good game plans into it, and you can just like get run over by decorate stuff. So like I would say that it would be wrong for like I would say that it's probably wrong to like completely write it off. In fact, I actually would say that out of the ones that we talked about today, I would rank it under Miraidon Ho-Oh as like what would be like 6th or 7th or whatever it is, maybe 6th best restricted duo. And the benefit for it is just that it can it like has a pretty solid matchup into like a lot of the like teams. Like you never really have that bad of a matchup. You can always just like cheese people, and because of that, it's just like relatively stable, especially for the people who are like Hard Trick Room mains. Like, yeah, go for it. Like,
yeah, go for it.
Like, go for it.
I think that's a good take. I really do. I had this uncanny ability of putting a team in the builder saying, the Ice Rider matchup looks questionable, but that might be okay. And then immediately queuing into Hard Trick Room on ladder, which is good. Which is actually like genuinely like a legitimately good thing that happens, because it means that you like you immediately know what the issues are with your team to like the greatest extent, right? And that's genuinely really valuable. But it does keep it happened like 2 or 3 times, and so I feel like I have to respect Hard Trick Room and team building, but. Again, even when you respect Hard Trick Room and team building, it just has all the tools to still win. It takes a lot to like make that matchup go more than like a 60-40 in your favor. And I don't think people are doing that right now. People were doing it at the end of Reg G. People are not doing it right now. It comes and goes, and I'm sure it'll top cut. It'll get top 8 or top 4 at one tournament, and everyone will freak out that they don't have a Hard Trick Room matchup over Tech 4, and it'll fall off, and it'll come back later on in the format, as it always does.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, like, so for example, Max in chat says Zamazenta plus taunt shuts down these type of teams. If you look at Zamazenta teams right now, they don't have taunt. Most of them do not have a taunt user on their team. Some of them do. But like that's the type of thing. Like, yeah, that will become more popular if Hard Trick Room does very well. You are inherently playing a little bit of a matchup roulette type feel, because someone might just tech for it really hard. But that's kind of true of every team, right? So I do think Hard Trick Room is quite good. All right.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit underrated. That's like my main take as to why I think it's like better than people might think about it.
Yeah. So with that,
that sounds right.
I know we've already gone over. We're going to do our Milwaukee preview real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up. But I do want to wrap up this portion. We have this is not our top 10. I really do think there's some things that are better than Swordfish. We talked about some of the potential combinations. I think Double Bikes is cool. I talked about Zamazenta Cryogus being cool. I think there's a couple others that were really cool. I had Miraidon CSR on my list, and that one wasn't on the top 10. So there's a bunch of different combos that are still. There was a CSR Kyogre team that I thought was cool. That top cut Victory Road, that was Ryan Lassetto. So there's a lot of cool different combinations that you can run that aren't on this list, but these are our top 10.
Didn't make the cut.
Yeah,
Ryan is probably the strongest team that didn't make this list.
That got top 4.
I didn't list it honestly because it somewhat has overlap with the Pagos CSR teams. Like there's a lot of similar members. They're still kind of running in Cinderella. They just have a different restricted. And of course, it's going to change how it plays. But at the end of the day, they're just called mine Pagos teams, and my eyes glaze over whenever I see them. So
yeah. Honestly, Karai Pagos would probably be like above Hard TR. Like it would be like on my list. Like if I were
you are really scared of these Combine Pagos teams. I do not respect them nearly as much.
Nah, dude, they're
good, bro.
They're scary.
All right.
The thing that's scary about them, Audie, is that they don't have to play. Like they can play so boring and just beat you.
Yeah,
they don't even have to cook. They're just like, let me just protect and parting shot. Now I'll fake out Calm Mind. Then I'm gonna protect.
I have a good matchup into it, but I do think that they're good. Like
I think they're just.
Well, that's why you're talking them up. Because you want more people to use them.
It's crazy. You're talking me into using them. Both of you are like, wow, it's so boring. They just have to click parting shot, and like, ooh, I can click parting shot over and over again.
I think it's broken.
I know how to play that type of team. All All right, so that's our list. And again, if you don't refer to these teams by these names, we will not know what you're talking about. So they are number 1, Scooby-Doo.
Agreed.
Number 2, Koala. Number 3, Tarapa Ghost. Number 4, BBSS. Number 5, and you can say Bolt Bleep Seed Sandwich. That's actually preferred. Number 5 is Thunderbird. Number 6, Hard Trickerum. Number 7 is Umbra. That one you can take it or leave it. I don't. We really ran out of ideas there. Number 8 is Icy Hot. Number 9 is the Batmobile, and number 10 is Swordfish. So that's our top 10 list for this format right now. Again, we all have different opinions, but this was sort of our consolidated list that we had time to talk about. And with that, let's go ahead and do the Milwaukee Regionals preview. This upcoming weekend, it's so exciting. We're all going to see each other in Milwaukee. Michael, I haven't seen you in so long. Alex, I got to hang out with you for all of 10 minutes at the Atlanta Regionals. So true. I'm excited to see both of you guys. I'm excited to see all 900 people, I think, signed up. I think we're very close to that 900 number. That includes juniors and seniors. But it's going to be a really big event. It's going to be one of the biggest events of the year. And yeah.
Regional first is the format too. So double compounds, double A for that.
Yep.
A lot of my friends are going, so I'm looking forward to this event. And I haven't been to an event in a while, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah. It is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it. Milwaukee. So my first ever regional top cut was in Madison, so I always have a soft spot for that. I don't think I've actually been back since then. I know I went to one other Madison regional, and I haven't been to Milwaukee regionals yet, so I'm excited to be there as well. I actually spent a summer interning right near, or I was working at Marquette University, so I lived in Milwaukee for a summer, so I have some familiarity with the area. Granted, that was a decade ago now, so I don't know if I'm actually going to be familiar, but yeah, let's talk about the history of Milwaukee regionals real quick, just to give you an idea of who you might want to smart money. The last 2 Milwaukee regionals won by Brian Yum in Regulation C, using New Balance, as we called it back in the day. I see James Evans getting second place. Alex, you with your Orthworm team, your Pride and Joy, in top 4, along with Paul Chua. Paul Chua, you're going to see a couple times on this list as well. Paul and Brian and Alex, all 3 of you guys have a history of doing well at this regional, I think.
I don't know if I've done that good at Milwaukee or Madison, but yeah, dude, I wish I won that one. Like, that's the of all the teams I've used in Scarlet and Violet, that was easily my favorite. Orthworm is so fun, dude. I love it. I miss that guy every day.
Orthworm Groudon, make it happen.
Like, my Portland team means nothing to me in comparison. Like, this like that team was soulless. This team, my whole soul was there on the battlefield, dude.
Yep. Hey, I see Conkeldonk on the list. I see my boy Austin Acosta. Shout out to him, playing Lorcana now. And then
Colin down there, he's a resident Wisconsin player, of course.
A local. Yeah, imagine that.
Yep.
Moving on to 2022. This was a fun one because Zhe Zhang came out of absolutely nowhere. I think he had not gotten championship points from a regional before, if I recall correctly. And he went on to win this event and then got top 4 at the North American Championships, the very next event, with a brand new team, which is absolutely insane run.
That's the part that's not talked up enough, is that he also just changed teams in top 4 the next event. Like, that's such a really sick back-to-back. They were also a week apart, right? The events?
2 weeks apart or something like that. Yeah, well, I think they might have been actually 1 week apart. Yeah, no, they were 1 week because all the European players showed up.
And he's just like... He's just like, all right, actually, pivot. That's just goated, dude. That's just goated.
It's pretty insane. It's yeah. So he won this event. Atmosphere. Nate Sittler got second place at this event. And then we see Owie coming in from Finland again a week before NAIC, getting the travel award, coming in early. James Evans, once again, we see his name. We see Calvin, Chris, Chungjun, Chirayu. So a lot of different names here. This was back when we had a smaller regional. It was only 180 players, I guess. So
there's a pressure on in top 8. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was true.
Pick, please. I want to pick Owie. Please. I just don't want anybody to steal him from me.
All right.
He's coming back. I've heard.
So 2019 Madison Regionals. Again, a smaller regional, 126 players. Also in Ultra Series, so another restricted format tournament. Paul Chua won this one. Yeah, he won it with Zerndon. Not too much to say here. We see Wolf. I know Wolf is a big Milwaukee Bucks fan. I wonder if he will show up to this event to support his Bucks in the playoffs. They might not be in the playoffs. They might not be in the playoffs until he gets there.
They will not be in the playoffs when we get there.
We see Colin again right here. We see Chuppa. I know he's going to be there as well. I think a lot of these players. I think Alyssa is just judging now. I think Cedric isn't playing anymore. So I'm not sure how many of these. Michael, I don't know if he's still.
Wait, did you say anymore? What did you say about Wolf? Yes, you heard he is or isn't, or
he is coming. That's what I heard.
Oh, got it.
Okay, that's big news. That's big news for the smart money. But speaking of Paul Chua, guess who won 2018 Madison Regionals? That's also Paul Chua. He won back-to-back Madison Regionals. Absolutely crazy. He won this with what we call chalk or new chalk. It was not chalk. Chalk was 2015 team. And yeah, so that was, I think, who is Jake Smith? What was his handle? He's in the showdown room. I'm forgetting his handle, but he had a. Anyways, Jake Smith, second place. Brian Yum out in third again. Another Brian appearance. Fun fact about this tournament, because I'm skipping down to 8th place. Although I know Carson will be going there. I think Ethan will be going as well if he's still playing. I'm not actually sure. But yeah. So fun fact about this tournament. This is my first regional top cut. I started out 5-0. This was only 7 rounds back in the day. I started out 5-0, and I going into the tournament, I was like, I have one awful matchup, and it is chalk. I cannot beat chalk, but that's okay. Who's using chalk? It's not that common. I was talking to Gunther Prabowo, who's a sorry, I pronounced your name wrong. Indonesian player, still around. He was at one of the Australian regionals, and he was also like, he helped me with the team a little bit. He had won the Perth special event with the same team. Was like, yeah, you have no chalk matchup, just accept it. It's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Round 5-0. Round 6, I play Brian Yum, who's on chalk, and I lose to him. That one's on stream. And round 7, I queue into Paul Chua, who is also on chalk, and I lose to him. But I tell Brian before the round, because he's locked up top cut at this point, I tell him, like, hey, if you win, your pair down, then 1x2 makes it into top cut, and it's probably me. And so he does me a solid, and he wins his last round, only for me to queue into him again in top 8, and then lose immediately. So I went 5-3.
I mean, it sounds like he did you one, and you did him one back.
Yeah, it does sound like that.
So I went, but this is back in the day where you could go 5-3 and say you got top 8 at a regional, essentially, which is pretty funny. Yeah, first regional top cut. Been a while. There's Carson as well. This was his LAIC winning team as well. So a lot of good players in this top cut. Unlike all the other top cuts that didn't have any good players, this one especially had a lot of good players. Right? I guess I thought I'd see your name again, Alex. I didn't realize you hadn't caught another one of these.
No, I haven't done too hot at these ones.
Okay, you were a local, basically.
Yeah, I would not pick. Yeah, right. I know. No, I don't know. I feel like not. It's funny. I've done better at Fort Wayne. But yeah. Anyways. And then Collinsville, I guess, of course.
Collinsville, yeah. Well, the last 2017 Madison Regionals was won by Andrew Nowak, with Ken getting second place, I believe. My boy Terry Hong getting third, Tyler Miller, and then Adena, Karras, Samuel Harsma. Is that Dr. Fidget? Fidget, yeah. That it's a Fidget-looking team. And Kazuki running out the top 8.
6 Ultra Beasts. 6 Ultra the equivalent, by the way, guys, of running like 6 photosynthesis mons, like without anything to support them. I mean, like, of course, these guys, their abilities supported themselves. So I guess, but it's just like
day on the Flutterman.
Yeah. Like, this is just, it's just nonsense. Being completely honest.
All right, that is the history of Milwaukee Regionals. We're doing smart money. Michael, who you got winning this tournament?
Who do I got winning the tournament? I'll go with Raghav. That's my smart money.
Okay.
Raggy. Dude, Adi, I'll be completely honest. Before we went through the history, I did not remember the history. I was like, I think I want to pick Paul Chua for this one. And now it looks like such a so I'm going to stick with it. But I did not realize how dry it was. Oh, wait, you have a swap.
Oh, whoops. Yeah.
I'll fix it. Oh, you got it.
Okay. So you got the boring pick. You got Paul Chua, of course.
Wow, crazy.
I'm gonna do something spicy. And I'm gonna pick your buddy Alex. I'm gonna pick William Brown, who was on the podcast earlier. Who I know you told me he's going. So I know he's going, but he is top cut like the last 3 events he's been to or something crazy like that. He's had
God in stream every time, so you'll never know who he is. But yeah.
He's had a crazy run this season. Super
Has he
like
been on stream before?
He has not been on stream, and let me go check the leaderboards again.
He's
just casually 7th in championship points. He's 7th in championship points, and like you guys, if you haven't like literally looked for him at an event, you have no idea who he is.
Literally,
he's definitely the best player to not be on stream. Because there was this conversation that we had this conversation earlier after I think Atlanta or something. Like people were bringing up like who is the best player who has never been on stream. It's definitely him then.
He's got it. He's locked it up.
William Brown.
But yeah, I've been so impressed by him, his consistency this season. He's just been ridiculously consistent, and so, I think I mentioned him to Rajan at some point, and Rajan was just like, "Who? Like I've never heard of this guy." It's like he is one of the top 8 players in North America right now. He is absolutely cracked. He is someone that everyone should know, and no one knows. So, there we go. I think he's my pick. And yeah, chat, mention your smart monies. If you don't mention your smart money in the chat, you can't say that you called it, because this will be on. It'll be on YouTube. You can immortalized. You can call your shot, and it'll be immortalized on YouTube forever.
Yo, raw file bag era. I think I know who that is.
Never heard of him.
I think I figured. Never heard of him.
You mean Astrafael Baragia?
Dude.
Baragia. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right. So that is our smart money, and that is going to do it for us today. We are going to wrap it up, and we're going to send you over to, is that Moxie Boosted streaming at this time of day, playing some Reg I, it looks like. So we're going to send you over to, oh my God, he's playing Lugia Eternatus Comfey. Am I allowed to send you over to him? I think it's whatever his subs are requesting him to play. So we're gonna shoot you over to him. Thank you all for watching. This was a very long episode of Top Takes, but we had a lot to talk about. We were just very excited to talk about Regulation I, and I'm excited for next week where we get to recap Milwaukee Regionals.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
With that
kicks off.
Thank you again, ESM.
The crazy